Are you ready for it? I'm a real tough kid. I can handle my shit. They said fake it, gotta fake it till you make it, and I did.
I'm just a terrible person, I guess.
Lights, camera, bitch. Even when you wanna die. Breaking down, I hit the floor. All the pieces of me shattered as the crowd was chanting more. With a broken heart.
Who's afraid of little old me?
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I am Sarah the Raging Tomato. Thank you so kindly for your patience this evening. We had some technical difficulties. Found out I have a whole new volume button backstage. I love it. I'm excited now, and hopefully you can all hear me clearly no matter which thing you're watching from. Outside of that, I've got Joshua Stacy with me tonight, ready to duke it out, especially with all of you fine lefties in my audience hanging tight. DEI is a cancer to the American workforce, is the claim, and Joshua here is going to lay it out thick. Joshua, hello and welcome.
Hello. So this is an interesting topic, and I'm going to say it's not even because of the topic necessarily. It's the way that people don't actually engage with the topic. So DEI at its foundation, we start off, we say, well, what is it? And we already run into problems with that. So before today here, I got together and I did some notes, and I came up with 3 different frameworks and 3 definitions. We've got a Stanford definition, a Harvard definition, and then it sounds like shroom, but it sounds like just so stupid, but it's the Society for Human Resource Management or something like that. I'm sure there's somebody that's offended in my LinkedIn network about hearing that. We worked hard to get this approval of this entity. I've got a good one here, actually. This one is for soy. We've got the old studies suggest, experts are saying, scientists believe. Course, so the institutional authority, I don't buy that so much. But at its core, what happens is they'll try to expand out the definition so they can smuggle in the racism that they say that they're trying to get away with. So when we have the panel come up, we're gonna have a bunch of people that are gonna be like, well, DEI saves babies, and you're gonna be like, well, great, but like, I'll give you a real example. Well, we'll get to that. So Stanford's definition is okay. So diversity. It's talking about demographic composition of a community and historical representation. We hear historical representation quite a bit. Equity means, now this is where it gets a little weird. They're going to say we're not being discriminatory, but they say we're correcting systemic imbalances. And it's like, well, that correction presupposes certain things that maybe haven't been established. And then inclusion is by creating environments where those identity groups feel welcomed, represented, and supported. And so with the equity part, we're engineering an outcome. And what we're doing is we're saying we're going to use this framework to manipulate things to fix an outcome so that the outcome looks at a certain racial or other demographic perspective. And so Harvard, they varied it a little bit. Here's Harvard's specific definition. It's a set of principles and institutional practices designed to increase the representation of marginalized identity groups, remove systemic barriers that affect those groups, and then achieve equitable outcomes. When we're talking about removing systemic barriers, we're talking about preferential treatment. And ultimately, this is the line that it's always going to fall on. And then there's going to be a dysregulated lefty. And I hate to say it like that, but there's emotionally regulated lefties out there too. Maybe some of those will show up tonight.
We got them
I've heard they exist. If they exist, they're probably not coming on tonight. That might be some. And then the Society for Human Resource Management, they say diversity is a range of identity categories such as race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, disability, and other protected classes. And equity is the process of ensuring fairness. Now, that's a funny phrase to me,
Hmm.
ensuring fairness through differential treatment when necessary to eliminate barriers. And inclusion means designing all practices and cultures to make sure everybody has a voice, visibility, and influence. Of course, the core problem on this is that we're saying it's fairness through preferential treatment and differential treatment based off of historical injustices, which is code for racism. So we start off there, and we laugh. Oh, we laugh. Sarah, do you know what the biggest problem I have with unhinged lefties is?
When they don't listen.
No, no, it's the even well, you know what? Yeah. But more than that, they'll bitch and they'll say so actually, Bill Maher did a nice bit about this. He talked about presentism. They'll say, well,
Hmm.
300 years ago, and it's like, well, it's not 300 years ago.
Right.
So uh there was this Bloomberg article. So they say, oh well, historic injustices, corporate America needs. Okay, I hear what you're saying. According to Bloomberg, which is it's not the Inquirer, in 2023, so rather this was for 2022, I guess. Um, More than 300,000 jobs of in the S&P 100 went to people of color. I'm not against that. Anybody's getting a job. I think that's great. Go
Right.
fucking work. Earn some money. Uh, Work's good for the soul. I'm here for it. The thing is, 94% of those jobs went to uh, people of color, and we're not a 94% people of color. And this is the standard that we've used for racial preferences.
Oh.
We say it should reflect the group. And you say, well, here's a data point that says only 6% of jobs went to non people of color. And so you say, well, what do you make of that? And they'll act like this didn't exist. They'll say there's no preferential treatment. They'll say, oh, these are just edge cases. And I go, this is the S&P 100. These are real companies. Like Bloomberg,
Hmm.
and this isn't even really a disputed rag. And like they put this out and they go, well, in wake of the Black Lives Matter protests, the corporations did well. They made good on their promises. And it's like, well, okay, but like also 94% going to that's not there's
It's
no
not equitable.
that is not equitable. There's no way that's equitable. Of course, a part of the problem with this is what is it? If leftists knew understood economics, they wouldn't be leftists. Ha ha ha. I'm being a little anti-leftist tonight. We're gonna
Ah,
the
you
reason why
fire them up. Fire them up. I'm
you gotta
sure
get them
they're
fired up.
watching.
You gotta support the show. You gotta pay your tomato taxes. And you got to have something that you're going to be so upset about. You need to
Oh.
punch somebody. So this way you will come in and you will tell me that I am wrong. The best part is that I'm right, but that's fine. That's not important. The important thing is Um, so yeah, so literally just starting off with a definition, we can't do that.
Mhm.
Acknowledging facts, we can't do that either. So we come down to feelings. Now, Sarah, I've been working hard. You've been helping me. Do you know how you've been helping me?
Keeping you busy with debates.
With retards, yes, because it helps me understand them. They're so emotionally driven. I live in a world of engineering, right? I build the thing, it works or it doesn't work. It's not particularly emotional. Now, there's the
Hmm.
things that I mutter under my breath. Those are maybe a little more emotional. But for example, there's a one debater, Owlish. I hope you're out there. I hope you're going to join us.
I like
She's
Alice. She was
very
very
emotional and
pleasant.
reactive, and she expands arguments. And this is a very common thing with folks who are not as tied to facts and logic. So it's a great opportunity to try to connect with them, not shame them for who they are, but agitate them to come out and engage. Oh, hi, Owlish.
I see. I
Yes,
liked Alice. I thought she was very
I don't
calm, cool, and
dislike her.
collected on her last debate.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna break that one up. I
All
will
right.
say I got into a little kerfuffle in Wix Discord and I got on timeout for a little bit. So we'll save that energy for somewhere else.
See, she was so sweet and kind. I had no issues with you
Look,
guys have your little duke out, but I'm staying neutral on that one. I liked her. She was very pleasant.
I'll give her this. And this is a big one. She'll actually have the chat. Most won't. Most glitch out so hard they can't even talk to someone that they know disagrees with them. So anytime somebody's coming to the table, I'll give them that. And she did know about this, and I invited her. So that's why she's getting name dropped. This wasn't cold. If
Oh,
anyone
okay.
else is out there waiting to get name dropped, it's probably not going to happen. Uh,
Just
all
name
right.
out,
So
drop, just call out anyone that looks like a lefty.
right, yeah, and I like talking to them. It's just it's a calibration thing. I'm getting so much good exposure to it. All right. Uh okay, so that's definitionally we've got a definition we've looked at a bit here. Uh we know they don't like facts even when they're winning. That's upsetting. They won the fight. Okay. So the thesis here is that it's cancer. Now, cancer isn't just saying it's bad. It's saying that it actually causes problems, it metastasizes, all that good stuff. Um, so the problem is that it recenters race over competence, and it basically, literally, ironically, systematically it creates systems at institutions to enforce more discrimination. It changes, the very simplified argument. Logics didn't like this one at all. It's easy to say. There's more nuance. Is that race DEI is better branded racism? And the reason for that is we're just changing who we're being racist against and why. Well,
Right.
you look like the guys that won last time. So even though you have no relationship with them, you just have a similar skin color. Let's make you the brunt of that. Um,
Hmm.
and that runs counter to Americanism because we try to get along with each other. And then these divisions, it's doesn't fly. It doesn't fly.
Okay.
Um,
Now, the like reverse, kind of like reverse racism in a sense. Do you think if DEI didn't push the numbers that it pushed, like what you shared earlier, do you think you would think of it that way? Do you think if white still had a majority, do you think DEI is still operating accordingly based on your thought process?
Well, yeah, because the point of DEI is to distract from merit and competence. Every way you slice around it. And so if we're talking about, like, for example, the American workforce, what would be
Hmm.
a good sign for it? Well, it's innovative, it's efficient, it's growing, there's opportunity. And all of the things that we need for that are derailed. Like, for
Hmm.
example, if we're focusing on ethnic backgrounds and we're not focusing on core competencies and things like that, you end up having a group of engineers that looks a certain way but maybe doesn't perform another way. Now, there's a funny little thing in America where we do have a lot of engineers and stuff that will work, out of their garages, basements, that stuff. So what's happening is a lot of the best engineering talent doesn't like being stuck in these sort of I call it a black hole, because an engineer is trying to solve a problem, and that's hard enough, right? Make a flying car, make a website work, make an app load, do a thing. But then on top of that, it's like, but make sure that your team looks this certain way. And it's like, but that doesn't have anything to do with us actually succeeding. Um, and so whether they are successful at ousting the evil white man or however they want to phrase it, fact of the matter is we're not prioritizing competence. Like the whole premise on it too is like, so I told like DEI a while ago, and I said, you know what? A lot of people really care. That's nice. That's something I can like about it. And I
Hmm.
say these are people who will go out and they'll say things and they're willing to. That's good. I go, but is it actually a good thing? And the answer is no. Now, uh, let's clarify that a bit though. Why is it a bad thing? And the answer is because it restricts opportunity. It doesn't create more. If, for example, we were to imagine two universities, okay, we've got Stanford University, good university historically, and then we have Josh University, which is just Stanford University, except instead of going the DEI route or the DEI route, we went the democratizing access route, which is
Hmm.
literally where I spend most of my effort. And the democratizing access says, uh, I don't care what your background is. That's not important to me. I don't care what your gender is. That's not important to me. Let's make tools and build systems that help everybody raise. And the reality is, if you take a look at like the admissions program, it says, well, we only have X amount of seats at colleges, so we're going to ration these out in some fashion. Instead of saying, well, why don't we build more colleges? And I'm not advocating for building more colleges, but it's not solving the problem of, if there's more people that could learn than we currently have capacity for, the solution is to increase capacity, which is a part of why
Hmm.
I'm so excited about AI, I'm so excited about technology. Like folks that want to go out and learn now, it's never been a better time to be a casual learner because you have so much information available to you. And
Yes.
so I
And
don't.
a lot of information available to you for free. Like
Yes.
there's a lot of, I mean, even I think it's actually Stanford that runs even some tech classes that you can take for free. Like they have a lot of different, I mean, you're not going to get like, I don't know if it's like credited or whatever, but if you just want to learn about certain things or take very specific classes about something that's helpful and useful, like you can, they offer a lot of online stuff for free. It's I love it. I love that there's a whole lot. I mean, or you can just go to the library. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and sort of just, and I brought this topic up before. This is a little bit better of a format because we can actually develop it. Um,
Mhm.
one of the points I brought up before is there's this Fifth Circuit judge that got heckled at Stanford when he was invited to speak. And you might say, well, that was like one issue, and the dean got fired, and it was the dean of DEI, and like that that's all like sort of fine. The real
Mhm.
problem is if we think about colleges, right? We've got different departments, we've got arts, English, literature, whatever, all the different departments. Um, you'd think law would be the most disciplined. So I'm currently active in I've I'm a plaintiff in two federal lawsuits right now.
Mhm.
And if you can believe it, when people are arguing over millions of dollars, it's contentious. And if every right, so if everybody's attorney went in there and screaming at each other, we'd never solve anything. It just
True.
wouldn't happen. And so we need civility. We need to have here's words go on this page. We can put this many words. You have 10 minutes to say your point. Like we need structure to be able to navigate this. And so when we take a look at one of the most well-respected universities in the country being literally just like the guy got talked over at some point, the dean, yeah, this was the dean didn't, when the dean was there, she didn't calm things down. She actually amplified the mob and started lecturing him about harm community values. At one point she said, is the juice worth the squeeze? So this is a Fifth Circuit appellate judge. For those that don't know, this judge, the Fourth Circuit, or I'm sorry, it's the Fifth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit appellate judge is a supervising court, which means
Mhm.
every federal decision that you get goes up to an appeal court. If you fight, if you push back and you say they did something wrong, that's where this guy operates. The next stop is the Supreme Court of the United States of America. It
Mhm.
is like that's it. And so for us to take a look at a very disciplined department, right? This is
Yeah.
law. This isn't soft sciences. This isn't even philosophy with a passionate debate. This is the structure of our governance, which is the thin line that keeps us from having bloody revolutions. And we just have hooting and hollering and carrying on and all of the what get off my lawn isms that an old man would say when the youngsters are acting up. But like it's demonstrative of sort of where this ideology has taken us, because this is the part that scares me. Those students were not an isolated incident. They've been breeding this sort of culture for a while. The culture is probably still there, maybe chilled a little bit, but it's still there. And what do academics do? They create, in theory, help prepare the next workforce. And so
Mhm.
we're talking about the cancer in the workforce. Like, well, where does the workforce skills come from? Either folks that are self-taught, whatever, learn trades, or folks that go through academia. So if the academic pipeline, and even the most, what should be the most civilized opportunity to disagree with people, right? The written word, we write arguments, we have rules, we structure. If that isn't even safe, then boy oh boy, it's metastasized, and we've got these pretty radical, and I mean that in a very disparaging way, attack people and ideas. But this is a very like a just a it's a cancerous ideology because it doesn't just like rob people of progress. It actually causes division in the workplace. Like one of the strangest
Mhm.
things about this is once people started and say, I'm not going to say anything about what generation you may or may not be from that you haven't already said. However, I remember the 90s. And for the
Mhm.
most part, people were fucking kicking it. They just did not care. Like, we're like, racism bad. And everyone's like, yeah, that's bad. And everyone's like, cool. And then, like, all of the sudden, the last 10, 15 years, for some reason,
Well, then
it's
we
all
like
just
yeah, I remember the '90s too. I'm a millennial. But it was like. 90s we were like, all right, girls should be allowed to do fun stuff, like girls can play sports too, so give the girls their own thing. Women, like, empowerment wasn't an overkill, it was just like, let the girls play too.
And let them get
And
their own credit cards, let them have their own bank accounts. I'm in
right,
support of all of that, even if I
right.
have questionable views on other subjects on
But
that. But
then, like, I feel like 2000 and beyond came out, and then we started pushing hard in the other direction of, like, not only should women, or even black people, or this or that, or whatever minority group, not only should they have this opportunity, but we should just give it as well, and just give them like a booster seat. And that's where we started seeing problems happening, was between women getting this, anyone in a minority getting this, so on and so forth, with DEI, education, everything. It just became like, you can't just settle with, okay, you have the opportunity to do this too. No, now we need to just hand it to you and not allow anybody else the opportunity as well.
well, and victimhood is currency is the strange thing
Hmm.
about that, right? So if we go back up one generation before, let's say we go to the Gen Xers, there were a lot of women and people of minorities and whatever that did have to fight really fucking hard to get a seat at the table. And the
Hmm.
most American thing in the world happened. They fought, they got to the table. Now,
Hmm.
should they have had to fight so hard? No, no. Should they have had an equal fight? Yes. But should we have rolled out the carpet and made it easier for them? Should we have lowered the bar? I think that's where the answer is no. And that's actually where I think a lot of the DEI enthusiasts get it wrong. Like, and not just like a little wrong, like completely lost in the sauce wrong. Because at that point, we're not saying, let's say these groups aren't aren't interested in these spaces. They're not competing here. They're not saying, well, why are they not able to reach those levels? And let's work on that. They're saying, let's admit people into programs that they're not quite ready for. I'm not happy about the fact I'm about to share. But
Hmm.
generally, folks let in through lighter admission standards end up leaving the institutions earlier because they can't perform because they didn't meet the same criteria other folks did. So even if you say, well, we want to create opportunity, that's a real dick move to set someone up for something that they're likely to not do well at. You can say, well, they need the chance. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we should, it's so hard to try to make anything of your life. We shouldn't be setting people up for things that are going to be more challenging than they're likely to succeed at in any
Hmm.
format. And this is where I right. So we say, okay, well, if DEI is bad, which it is, then well, what is good? And I go, well, I don't know. But one thing that's better is that democratizing access. If you have to actually look at the race of someone to decide if you're going to help them or not, you're racist. That's why I
Hmm.
say DEI is better branded racism. We're just changing the rules. Um,
So,
yeah.
is there any part of DEI that you would find to be beneficial to want to keep? I know that there's like people with disabilities, wheelchairs, deaf, blind, so on and so forth, yada yada yada. I feel like that would help keep the inclusivity there, so on and so forth.
Well, I mean, that's why here's what's so American about the people that are advocating for DEI. They don't even realize things like that already existed under the law without
Hmm.
DEI ever existing, right? The Americans with Disabilities Act, a lot of stuff. I was talking to somebody earlier, a week or two ago, and they were explaining to me how their DEI department did a lot of great things. I said, oh, that's like, I'm on do great things for people team. Cool. I'm here for it.
Hmm.
But they're like, we made all of these accommodations for individuals. And I'm like, that's Americans with Disabilities Act. That's ADA. And
Hmm.
maybe the DEI department did it. That's fine. That's great. I don't want to take anything away from them. But the framework for it isn't DEI. And this is where I'm expecting in the panel, there's going to be people that say DEI is great or some version of that. And then they're going to put forward some definition. If I'm lucky, they'll put a definition forward. And even if, and if like most likely scenarios, they won't put one forward. And anyone they do put forward is going to wander around and take the shape of jello because it's just, you can't hold a static standard to it because then you can find the actual discrimination on it. You can find where we're saying, well, let's lower the bar here or put preference on that. Um, Yeah. So is there anything worth keeping about it? I would say probably, honestly, probably not. On the balance, I think it's one of the most toxic American policies ever. And on top of that, and someone might fact check me on that and be like, well, we believed in cannibalism. Okay, if that we find something like that, then reserve the right to change my mind on it. Um, but what I think we need to do is say, look, where did DEI come from? Came from this radical idea that people should be treated fairly. Okay, that's cool. That's pretty American. I get behind that. People shouldn't
Mhm.
be systemically one moment here. People shouldn't be systemically held back. Facts. I'm here for it. And a lot
Mhm.
of what's dancing around on this is they'll say, well, because of this characteristic, whatever it is, dot, 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 then they'll say socioeconomic. And the reality is the great disequalizer is not having money. If you're in a modern economy in a Western society and you have money, your life will be better. It's that simple. And so
Right.
I think folks are sensitive to that. And that's why we like to rally around these ideas. But the solution isn't bottlenecking who gets what's opportunity, it's creating more opportunity. And so, like, that's where I find a lot of the DEI enthusiasts, let's even say, like, I'm right there with them, they're fighting for the rights. It's the wrong solution for the problem because there's not anything more added to society by including DEI. It's just shuffling who gets what. Any real solution actually has to, means of production. I know communists and socialists have a hard time figuring that all out, but
Do you think DEI is proactive in ensuring minorities are getting opportunities over the others?
I don't know how else you could run a DEI program without doing that. Because if you're giving, right, we'll go back to the definition of SHROOM, the Society for Human Resource Management. Um, the equity principle is based off
It's
of
the fact that
differential
it says
treatment.
shroom.
Yeah. No, I think I straight up have friends that have their shroom certification or whatever,
Oh my
and they might
God.
not like the way I'm talking about that, but that's I'm sorry. I'm kind of sorry. I don't like harming people. I do think it's funny to call. Well, if your acronym is SHRM, you're shroom. There's no other
Yeah.
way to look at it.
Yeah.
You did that to yourself. I'm sorry. But yeah, shrooms is basically the contradiction is fairness through differential treatment. And apparently, Shroom is the governing standard for Fortune 500 HR departments, and it operationalizes these types of programs. Where basically, like, if we really were trying, like, you remember how we. Let me ask you this. I don't know the answer to this question, by the way, audience. I'm about to ask Sarah a question I don't know the answer to. Uh, were you ever familiar with the term colorblind being used positively? Like we should all be colorblind? Like back in like 90s with
Yeah.
respect to
Well,
race. It's like,
that you hear the oh, I don't see color.
right.
Yeah.
What's so fucking awful about that? And the answer is you can't differentiate between people if you say we're all people. We say we're all people and humans that should be treated fairly. Well, you can't weaponize the different tribes against each other as effectively that way. Um, I mean, the other thing is a lot of times too is like just sticking on sort of the discussion theme of what it does to the workplace, like it destroys trust. So like
Hmm.
employees will wonder like, oh, did they get that promotion because they deserved it, or is it because of other criteria? And like, yeah, the other thing is any type of discrimination is viewed as an opportunity for a lottery ticket. At least that's the way a lot of folks seem to view it. And so it puts even more legal exposure on businesses who are literally just trying to make a buck and get through the day, right? Create opportunity for their
Hmm.
communities, their employees, make their customers happy, all that stuff. And then that ends up creating some hostile work environments. Not a lot of people like being told that they should feel bad about themselves because of the color of their skin or their gender or whatever.
Well,
So when you
how often were people being told that they didn't get a job because of their skin color?
how often were they being I'm sorry, how often were they being
I
told they
mean,
weren't
in
getting
order to push DEI, like how often were people actually being told we didn't hire you because of your skin color, or we didn't hire you because of your disability, or we didn't hire like that's what I would like to know. Like who came up with this idea and with what information did they use, or did they just say, well, I think I didn't get hired because of my skin color?
Well, so you can actually test this on the other side of it very, very dispositively. So they're probably not getting an email. I can't imagine an employer being dumb enough to say, sorry, whites
Right.
only, please. Like, I don't see that happening. Just as I wouldn't see Asians only, blacks only, whatever the hell it is. I just wouldn't think they put that in writing. Um, but for example, certain government contracts you can only get based off of not being a white man, for example.
Mhm.
Literally every other group is fine. Um, then you take a look at hiring preferences, and they have diversity goals and quotas and targets. And so when you take a look at that, the pool, you can say, well, maybe, maybe Tom didn't get rejected because he was white. However, if we take a look at the diversity of everything here, we do know that they disproportionately didn't hire because of, right, going back to, for example, to that Bloomberg article,
Mhm.
where 94% of S&P 100 jobs went to people of color instead of whites. This is a more than 6% white country. So that number on its face means collectively some people were told uh, whites need not apply. And I think that was probably a clickbaity title that was captioned on that article. It makes good on it though. Like 96%, 90, yeah. When 6% of jobs go to whitey, that's not the majority. That's not even close. That's fine.
Mhm.
Like whatever. Like it's what happened. But
Actually, I wanted to ask, is this like per capita for that number, or like how
not
was
even
that
close.
statistic being
Not
brought
even
in?
close. No. Well, you know what? Talking about how accessible information is here. Let's do this real quick. US percentage white. Okay. Chat GPT. Thank you for saving. Okay. So, according to a very quick Chat GPT search, which is citing Wikipedia, it's 61%. So, 61% white getting 6% of the jobs.
Mhm.
That seems fucked to me. And I like numbers, I like math. That doesn't seem like it's pro rata or per capita. It seems like if it was skewed the other way around, even if it was only, yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I think those are now also that's S&P 500 or S&P 100. People will argue, oh well, but when you go higher up with CEOs and all this other stuff, and what ends up inevitably happening is there are some levels at which performance is rewarded, and the types of workaholics and junkies that just bury themselves into their career are going to outperform people that are scrolling into programs based off of preferences other than competence. It's
Mhm.
literally just the natural order of things. And in the meantime, it creates friction and drag. And so people not trusting each other. Because here's the real death of it to me anyway. One real death is right. Those Gen well, we'll just pick on the Gen X women that went out and kicked ass and took names and went into the corporate America, right? They
Mhm.
did have to work harder. I don't think anybody would reasonably push back on that. And like they were able to thrive. Now, if I saw a woman in a boardroom then, we know some things about her. Now, a lot of the standards have been lowered across different groups. So it's not that it's by default this is a diversity hire, but it is by default we don't know. And like that uncertainty isn't fair for good performers. It's not good. My premise isn't that DEI needs to die because there's a group harmed by it, other than the fact is the group is everybody is harmed by it, just some more directly than others.
Okay, that might actually make some sense. Uh, dive into that little piece a little bit more. Then, if everyone is affected by it, I mean, if like how how would the minority be negatively affected by it? Or, I mean, are they getting jobs that they're not competent or can't operate? Are they, becoming participant trophy receivers who just think that everything's good and then find out the hard way later? Like how are they being negatively affected?
Yeah, well, so it because it jeopardizes the stability of the whole thing. So something like 70% of the American economy, whatever it is, it's a large number, is driven by small businesses. Small businesses track sort of the revenue per employee number is far more important for them than a lot of others because literally every dollar matters for keeping the operation going. And so when you have and in general, so let's say you've got a 5,000 employee company. and
Mhm.
you've got everybody was hired based off competence. We haven't tried DEI yet. Everybody's just doing their thing. We go, okay, if you do a good job, we keep paying you. If you do a great job, we keep paying you and we give you a raise. You do a bad job, we say, thank you for your time. Please get the hell out. Right. If that
Mhm.
is your North Star and you say, whatever it looks like, whatever their gender, whatever their race, whatever their national creed, whatever, that's just our metric. Okay. Now, let's say you've got identical factory, except for here's the change. Over the course of 5 years, what you've been doing is applying DEI. And every time you can lean to make your group look more of a certain way, not based off of competence, because we have to let that go. Like that's right where it starts undercutting itself. As soon as we stop taking a look at competence, what that does is, if you have 5,000 employees, you've got one that's a real stinker. Well, that's probably normal. You probably have more than one that's a stinker. But when that
Mhm.
ratio keeps going up and systematically you're doing that, what you're doing is you're taking the whole operation. Think about it like it's a boat out in the ocean. And if at some point it sinks, everybody on it sinks. So if the hiring systems that are getting more and more people hired into these are causing are failing, then that ends up literally then there's if the ship sinks, then no one has a job. And so that's where, as you know, for most of my life, I've been self-employed. I've hired and fired people, stuff like that. Um,
Mhm.
I care about it. I like bringing people on board. I like creating opportunity, and I don't like firing people. In fact,
Mhm.
that's something that is I would have made more money if I was more comfortable firing people. But
That's
you
why
get
you
to
need
know.
a one person that has that you got to have one person be the bad guy.
Gotta have the
Y-
enforcer, yeah,
yeah,
or you
yeah.
gotta be a little more, yeah. So all that to say, when you're looking at the way the whole system works, if you start putting people in positions where they're not able to carry the weight that's required, that's
Mhm.
problematic. Now all of that 100% of this solved. Let's say you say, okay, well, these groups that are historically disadvantaged, and so they don't learn this skill or that trait or whatever.
Mhm.
Great. Go there, teach that, catch them up to the standard. Hell, you want to go nuts? Bring them above the standard, make them the leading standard. But like,
Mhm.
that's the intersection where the problem is. It's actually at the mechanics of there's things that need doing. And so this is where, there's I've heard the phrase an ice cream president, um, where basically if you're running for class president, you say, "Oh, everybody, we'll have ice cream," and then they vote for you because you said you'll give them ice cream, even though you can't give them ice cream. DI
Mhm.
for me is like, well, we're going to give more opportunity. Oh, where does this more opportunity come from? Yeah, no, like there's more opportunity. Why have we been hiding it? Why have we been holding it back until now? We're going to give, oh, what you mean is we're going to disadvantage some other groups to give preferential treatment to another. We
Yeah.
don't like that as a
Yeah,
country.
you can't you're not creating something out of like clean air. You actually have to remove from one to give back to another. I think that's maybe people would say it's not zero sum, but I think at the end of the day it kind of is because uh, you you have to push something out before you can give. We just don't make things out of nothing, even opportunity.
Yeah, it's just physics, man. And like this is the thing. I don't like this. I would like to live in a society where we could all wake up and do nothing and eat cookies all day and be in great shape and not have to work and have no help. Right. But since that's not the world we live in, the best way to deal with making this world that we're in better is by improving our capabilities, having
Hmm.
more efficiently run companies. Guess what? Companies that are that are very efficiently run, that are profitable, can have nicer quality of life for their employees. And so, like, this is where it's like part of the thing that's made America really outstanding is the ability to innovate and grow. And a lot of these programs that put here, let's imagine you're a performance junkie. You're like, I just love being on a team. I love, I wish there was 53 weeks in a year so I could work more. I wish there was 25 hours and these types of just machines. Well, guess what? They like working with other machines like them because the multiplicative effect is a lot of really interesting things get done. So when you inject staff into organizations and departments and in companies that are there because they look a certain way or because historically something or other, you're disrupting the rhythm of those teams. And so the rhythm of those teams it's just dynamics. If I'm an overperformer and I'm with somebody on a team project with someone who had to have a standardized testing score lowered so they could participate, we're probably not going to compete at the same level. And that's just not good for the organization. And then when society, then when that, yeah,
Well, what if we removed DEI altogether?
yes,
Um, do you think that uh, people might actually strive to have the better resume, to be more competitive, to do more networking, to I mean, because I'm wondering if you make it too easy, right? Like it's the participation trophy thing that goes around in my head. Because right now, companies, I believe, don't they receive incentives on tax credits if they have a certain if they meet a certain quota? Aren't there tax or
it depends.
grants
There's
maybe?
programs like that. There's the also the ESG scores, where basically the value of your company is partially based off of how well you meet the certain criteria. So there's
Mm-hmm.
huge economic incentives to make it look a certain way in terms
Mm-hmm.
of financing, not the actual customers out there getting the service or good or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that.
But I mean, as a company, right? Like I would find that to be it, especially in the beginning stages. You want to be able to capitalize as much liquid cash as possible. So if I can get a grant for something, or I can get tax credits for something, or if I want to be able to work with the government, I know the government does have preferential treatment to those who meet quota. So if I want the leg up, I follow the rules, right? So if I follow DEI rules and I can prove it, then I get put in the cool kids club and have extra special advantages. So by removing that, now the companies have to actually compete for the government contract on merit alone, or compete on reputation, or the bid has to be smaller, or whatever the case may be. If there's no tax credits and incentives, well, I'm going to work my ass off to figure out how else I can get those tax credits, whether it be charitable contributions, or energy renewability, or something like that, to meet other quotas. If I want to get grants, I'm going to work in other directions for towards those grants. So I'm wondering if we actually gave all of the companies participation trophy, uh, like ethics as well. Like, if I participate and play by the rules, I get the trophy too. The trophy being all of these other things. Therefore, I don't actually have to compete in the field on being the best at as it's the engineer putting the bid in for the government contract. I just have to meet this quota, and then I have better chances. I don't have to have the lowest bid to compete. I just have to meet the quota, and I have better chances. Um, like I don't. I'm wondering if we made the companies lazy, like or maybe I should say it better this way: to focus on other stuff, to focus on other things that versus just being a good company, right? To like focus on the DEI, meet the quota, do this, like community diversity and things of this nature, and blah blah blah. Like I worked for a corporate America company where like they had these um like committee meetings, committees, like for all of the diversity stuff, for this, for that. And these were people who were members of the company, who were had to take away from their time as in their role to go and be a part of these committee meetings, to put together like, oh, we're going to do this thing, and oh, we have to do that, and oh, is this like in the right field, or this, or they would have an entire HR department that's devoted, like the thousands and thousands of dollars that you're paying in salary to ensure you're meeting this quota. That like seems like, why are we focusing our time and energy on that instead of just focusing on being a great company, providing a great service or product, or being a good company to your people who want to work for you, so on and so forth. We're putting all of our energy into this other bullshit that just kind of like, what's the fucking point? What's it bringing you? Oh,
Well, so and
tax credits, grants, government contracts.
Well, and that's just it. And the reason why this has really happened, honestly, has very little to do with the warm hearts of college administrators or anything like that, or rather these department heads. It's this administrative class. So in our modern economy, what we found is it's not actually, for example, the folks with a ton of money that are the ones making these decisions necessarily. It's the people that are managing the tons of money that other people
Mm-hmm.
have. So
Right.
hedge funds like State Street, BlackRock, Vanguard, there are fund managers that come up with theses on how to spend this 70 collectively something like $72 trillion of wealth to exact programs like DEI and ESG scores and say, here's this better world we're going to live in with these policies. But at the end of the day, like they're not the ones dealing with the consequences of this. And so like, and it's just, it's the I think a part of the challenge I have with this too, and it's in some ways it's an experiment gone too far, right? We start off, we say, oh well, these groups were historically oppressed, and we should fix that. Like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, I got a pulse. That doesn't sound cool. There are people that were fucked over. Let's help them not be fucked over. I like this. But then in application, like here's a part I really don't understand. Now, I for those that don't know, I argue on LinkedIn a lot. I argue with attorneys. I argue with judges. I get
Really?
really engaged on this stuff. Yeah, I take it. I have a somebody said I was nobody on one of these panel chats, and that's fine. I don't have an ego like that. That's fine. I'm nobody. But I've got about 10% of my LinkedIn network is the intelligence community. I have discussions with law professors and all sorts of different folks. So like I'm naturally that sort of having those types of discussions. And so attorneys will go on and they'll say, okay, here's a case, blah, blah, blah. So I ask them every time I see somebody talking about DI, I go, how do you think DI can live in the wake of the Harvard decision? And for those that don't know, the affirmative action getting overturned case was Students for Fair Admission v. Harvard. So they call it the Harvard case. And basically, what the determination on that was, well, we probably started off in a good place, but somewhere along the way, this became a weapon that was used to create the very problems it was designed um, to solve. So
Mm-hmm.
now that it's run its course, let's let it go. So that is now the law is that got overturned. And so folks will still promote DEI. And I go, this is the question they'll get stumped by. I go, how can DEI exist in a world where affirmative action was overturned? And for those that aren't familiar with arguing the law, a lot of times the case will say, here's this one thing, right? And the concept on that is what the precedent is. And so here it's saying you cannot restrict admissions based off of race. You're like, all right, cool. That sounds like pretty freaking
Pretty standard.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Uh, and then they're like, well, but these other things. And so attorneys will parse words and they'll say, well, but that's different because it's not a school. And it's like, it's the same fucking doctrine. And if it's
Mm-hmm.
not, make that argument. And that's how you know an attorney's being evasive when they won't actually engage with it. And so that to me is the intersection too of where it's kind of interesting that folks are even pushing on this anymore, just because it got gutted by the highest court in the land. And there's no meaningful difference between the way that DEI gets presented in any of the three definitions I gave versus the fundamental error that got the affirmative action overturned. And I think I look, I'll tell you this. I think it did a good job. I think when it was passed, a lot of folks would have been more on the team. Let's keep everybody separated. And I think at this point, like most of us, like I don't see someone of a different skin color in a workplace and go, ah. I don't see someone of a different gender and go, ah,
Right.
unless it's an airplane. Female pilots, I do not trust. That's just because. And now, to be fair, I'll name my bias. There were two female Canadian pilots that flipped a fucking plane. It was landing, and it was like real close, and then it flipped. And so I'm a little. And it's a part of it's the upper body strength. It actually requires significant upper body strength to pilot these jets. So, anyway, all that to say,
Yeah, I know nothing about flying
oh, I
airplanes.
got a
Well,
clip of it. It's for another time, perhaps. It's terrifying. Look, here's what I like about it. I don't think any plane crash is a good plane crash. I believe everybody was fine on this one. So it's like, but like it flipped when it was 20 feet off the ground. Like, how is this even possible? Anyway, But yeah, like I think fundamentally though, like it's just there have been prejudices in the past, sure, but especially in modern culture, like I do not think there's discrimination like that anymore. And I think that look, humans are humans. There's going to be some shitty things happening under any
Hmm.
framework or laws that we make, but like we're
But
killing it
to
right
have,
now.
well, to I mean, to have the law in place to say that you cannot discriminate based on sex, race, whatever, disabilities, yada yada. To me, I feel like that's enough. So if you break that rule and they can prove that you break that rule, well, the consequences will come. But to force quota or forcing specific standards and things, yada yada yada. I feel like that's where it's like, well, wait a minute, why? Like, I didn't do anything wrong yet. Why are you forcing this stuff on me? Like, how do you know I wouldn't have picked one versus the other anyway? So it's like like the it it's assuming you're going to be racist. It's assuming you're going to be a sexist. It's assuming you're going to be discriminatory to someone who has a disability. It's assuming you're a shitty person. And that's the problem I have is like, wait, but like, how do you know I would have or wouldn't have? You don't know me or you don't know my company. You don't know what we do. But by saying I have to do these things or else, it's like, but how do you like you're just assuming I'm a racist then to make me pick this way or sexist or whatever, so on and so forth. So that's probably my biggest kicker is that you assume everyone's a shitty person who would choose a certain way if they could. Um, and then you're not really allowing them the ability to show otherwise.
Well, and one of my favorite arguments on this is that, for example, if certain groups were paid less, why wouldn't an employer exclusively hire the less expensive labor? And so,
Yes.
like, it's just as frustrating as this is. I think for folks that are, I wouldn't say that I'm not ideologically driven, but it's not like I try to not let my emotions get carried away. It's the fact of the matter is, it's just for the most part, like you're saying, like people just aren't that shitty. Like they'd rather have a functioning company than be like, no, we don't let any fill in the blank here. Um,
Hmm.
but like also to be fair, another thing, I live in one of the most diverse places in the world. And so like we literally like Las Vegas, the local college here, it's literally the most diverse college in all of American academia, I believe.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, and we all just get along. Like this is it's almost like if you teach people this DI framework, it's like okay, there's these evil, awful, freaking inbred rock eaters that want to go back to the cave days where you see someone and you want them, you're like just hit them upside the back of the head. What like it's not like that, guys. Like it's a civilized society now.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and I also think we have to be mindful of culture and region and what the company does, what their forte is, and whether there's even a calling for a lot of diversity within that company. You know, uh, like if you went to the New York Ballet, right, you're probably going to see more, like the New York Ballet Company, you're probably going to see significantly more tiny little white women. It's just it's culture. It's culturally there. But it doesn't mean they have a lack of other minorities or other races applying either. So I think that sometimes just with the culture and what the thing is, we have to kind of recognize that too. That not everybody's just being racist. Sometimes it's the calling and what who typically does and doesn't. So all right, let's do that. Did you have any final points you wanted to kind of nail in?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll reiterate sort of the primary here. One, anyone that's going to argue on the hill of DEI categorically will refuse to give a static definition. That is, I've never found one person that will give me one definition and stick to it. So if anyone
Mm-hmm.
wants to do that, this would be the first time it's ever happened. Two, I think people who like DEI are greatly spirited, and I love that. They say there's a bad thing and I want to go fight the bad thing. I love that. I don't want to discourage that. And three, got a false premise baked into it. The false
Mm-hmm.
premise is we need to ration who gets the opportunity, not work together so everybody has more opportunity. And if we can
Right.
get past that part, we unlock the next level, whatever that is.
Fair
That's my
enough.
closing on it. That's my closing on it.
Well, if they got rid of it, if they completely got rid of all of the DEI affirmative action kind of thing going on, and if anybody wants to go ahead and jump on for open panel, I've dropped the link in the chat. Feel free to go ahead and start heading backstage, and we'll bring you up in just a minute. If you were to just completely get rid of all DEI, all um, uh, affirmative action kind of stuff, what do you think you would see instead? After, like, get rid of it, what does a company look like? What does our society look like without it?
Well, if we're looking just so there's some percentage of our society right now, non 0%, that is bent on cannibalizing the rest of it and not adding any value because they think they have some moral virtue that's being imparted and that's their contribution. So there's two levers that would change. Lever one, anyone that is currently working on, I'm going to, these ideological initiatives could actually be doing something useful for society, which would help create more work product, which is just more wealth collectively or work for society. So
Mhm.
just imagine we've got 10,000 DEI professionals who are currently basically, here's the other end of it, working on agitating other professionals and distracting them. So instead of people focusing on their craft, their skills, their whatever else, they're learning victim language. They're learning how to argue that I'm in a certain class. So all of the productivity that is being directed towards, so those two groups, right? Productivity towards trying to keep the DEI machinery going up. All those people could go do literally anything else under the sun that would be more useful for society, which is almost literally everything else. And
Mhm.
two, they would stop impeding the successes of others. So I think we'd see probably the biggest gains would be in engineering and really in STEM. Anything where really it is you're trying to solve a very specific problem and you don't care about the gender, race, sexual orientation, blood type, whatever of the person that figured out how to make the flying car. You just want the flying car. I think we would, and I feel like people would be less angry at work. Like a lot of people get demoralized by going to work and they're like, "Don't say these words or we're going to ridicule you." It's like, or fire you.
Mhm.
Like, oh man, no, you looked at this chick for 6 seconds. Over 5 seconds means it's staring. You created a hostile work environment.
Yeah,
Like
I
these
do think
rules.
they've gone a little too far on some of those items. I think that there's a lot of pieces built into that are like, wait, like it's just a little too far, on some things, and it's like to give you an example, I'll see those, and I know this is not in a work environment, but this is the same thing I'm seeing happening in the work environment where women are at the gym and they're wearing a tiny inky dinky little sports bra, and then they're wearing tiny little inky dinky like legging shorts. So not a whole lot left to imagination. Now, I'm not for like shaming women for showing off, if especially if they look good, feel good, whatever. Not saying that that's a bad thing. But then they'll have their camera set up and they'll be recording themselves working out or something like that. And then they'll turn around and look at a guy and be like, "Why are you looking at me? Why are you looking at me?" Blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, I mean, and then they'll post it on the internet, and then the whole internet shames the guy for even like walking by and glancing over at the young lady. And that's where I think that we're just kind of getting stupid, and it's like, well, number one, why'd you wear an outfit that would capture people's attention? Your ass is hanging out, your boobs are hanging out. Like,
And I'm
you're
not
at,
against that, but don't be surprised
I'm
when
not
people look.
against it either. But if
I don't even.
people happen to like catch a glimpse and look or gawk or what, like that, isn't that what you wanted? Right? Don't tell me it's not what you wanted. I'm not tarded here. But I feel like take that concept and apply it in the workforce. Oh, well, He was looking at my chest for too long. Bitch, your boobs are like triple F's and they're hanging out. What do you want? Even I would look at them too, just in like shock and awe because I'd be like,
I
can
have
I
to
lay
strap
down
my
on those
bulge
things?
down. Got 12 inches to wrap down. Can't keep
Oh, dear
everybody
Lord.
distracted,
Oh,
drooling
dear
over my
Lord.
sausage.
Uh-huh. But that's what I'm saying though, and I think that we've gone kind of a little too far, especially on the lady stuff, and it's like what, I think you kind of said it earlier. Everybody's kind of utilizing victim language. Everybody suddenly becomes a victim except for your average white dude. I feel like you guys are just always the bad guys, and
We are.
sometimes you are, but I don't think that's the general like underlying thing. So let me get through
Well,
through oh yeah, go ahead.
no, I
You're
mean
evil.
this is the whole shtick that's happening with young white males right now. This is going to be a huge shift politically, just because they're being told they're evil by everybody, and then yeah, and then my answer to that is this guy right here. This guy right here. Way to go, Joseph Smith. This caption is not really what he means by it, but soy pill fell off his chair yesterday
Oh,
on.
that's right. I forgot you're of our Mormon community too.
Yes.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that. That's how we got you here, was for a Mormon debate. All
That's
right,
right.
let's
Because
get
Andrew
through.
Wilson's a little bitch. He said he started looking for me off of a certain claim, and then he changed the claim, which is what a little bitch does. All right, go ahead.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let me get through a few super chats, and then I will bring up our. We got a lovely panel backstage, and they are
I'm
all
sure we
coming.
do. Are they
They're
festering
all
nicely?
coming for you. I'm excited. Plumpy gifting out a Raging Tomato membership. Thank you so much, Plumpy. Plumpy sends a few of those out every show. I like it. The gift that keeps on giving. James says with the Big Ten, a goal too far. Working late tonight. Have a nice evening. Thank you, James. I love you. James is one of our avid goal completers here.
Thank you,
Thumping
James.
Weevil somehow lost her membership. She couldn't figure out why, so she just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead and get re-up it." And I don't know why they do that sometimes. I would recommend Weevil checking your card. Sometimes they like remove it, or you change your card or expired. Calvin asks to you, Josh. Pardon me. Calvin asks, if you support merit hiring, how do you justify Trump nominating Pete and Matt, two of the least qualified picks for Secretary of Defense and AG? Isn't that the opposite of merit? Also, how would you grade Pete thus far?
So I don't even know how you like.
I don't know who Pete and Matt are, and I'm not
No,
familiar with
I so
this.
it's Pete Hegseth and it's Matt Gates. It's a stupid argument. And that's what the hamster wheel turning was. Because here's what he's saying. Well, shouldn't we always hire all of the same people? Like use a rigorous merit process for all hires all of the time. And
Mhm.
so one of the things I try to do when I engage with people is really understand what they're saying and then understand what I'm thinking and try to really bridge it. What's here is we're starting off in such a, and I hate to say this kind, I really do hate to say it, but I believe it's true. It's a stupid argument. These are presidential appointments. So the mechanic for hiring that is the president appointed them. And so if you've got some other framing on that, I'll admit I believe that this is bitching about presidential appointments, not hiring processes or academic admissions. So it's just fucking irrelevant. Happy as far as Matt goes, I think he looks like an idiot, and I don't align with him on everything. I wish he was more like Thomas Massey. And Pete, I like him. He's shooting boats. He's getting in the game. He's making everybody fight ready. I'm here for it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And Jason with the preemptive boot for Duck.
Oh,
Duck, if you do, I will offer you the 2 minutes if you do want to come on and plead your case for someone else to match in order to allow you back on panel. But Jason has already preemptively struck Duck from the panel this evening. And so if you do want to allow Duck to come on, you have to counter match the hundo on the screen and go the other way in order to even allow Duck on. But if Duck wants to do his 2 minutes, I will allow that because that is fair.
Fair is fair.
And you have to plead your case to the audience and beg them to someone to pay for that. So that's the only thing I'll give you, Duck. All right. And shout out to Jason for sending the love. Reasonably Absurd says the presumption is you will be biased. There are the biases that you know and the subconscious biases that apply at every level that make merit completely impossible. Any thoughts to that? So I guess it's just they're going to assume you're already biased.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. Where is this again? Yes. So we've got sort of two directions on this one. And we can go with the approach of saying everybody that opposes DEI because they think it's fucked up, you can go, you're evil for thinking that it's fucked up. And then it's like, oh, are you a racist or evil? Yeah, I'm an evil racist. Now we're all evil racists. Like this whole narrative that people are inherently bad, whatever. Like this is like shame language. This is feminine coded shame language, and this isn't a knock against women. It's just it's coded in the way, right? Women are tend and befriend wired, and that's they tend to behave social in certain ways in social hierarchies, right? So men do it different, and like I say we need both. I say we need both, but they're just assuming of course there's gonna be some biases, but is it someone gonna be like, we don't hire fill in the blank even though they're perfectly qualified? Like that's a crazy thing. That's something that stupid people who've never had a business and have never made a hiring decision say. Because if you've ever been in either of those positions, you actually want to solve for getting the best candidate. And so fine, we can just say we all got biases. I'm not even intrinsically against like the concept of bias training. Great. Like let's think about these things. I'll be honest, but like it's being used as a blunt instrument, not as let's all understand
then you'd
each
have
other
to
better.
account for every possible bias out there, and your experience can be completely every experience is going to be individual, and every bias is going to be individual. But overall, we're all going to generally run on the same like standard, like, okay, this is my community and whatever. But I think that like you would have to account for a lot in order to shut one thing. I mean, if a I don't know, a guy from Russia crashed into your car 10 years ago, you might have a bias against Russian dudes, right? I mean, randomly, and you're like, oh, they're all terrible because they all suck at driving. I mean, but how could you account for that? You couldn't. You could never account for that. You could never break that subconscious or bias or whatever it is that it does, no matter how much training or how much this or how much quota you demand or whatever, you're not going to break it. They're just going to feel that way. You're accounting for, you started this whole thing talking about feelings. And so I just kind of wanted to circle back around for that.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, we like a part of life is that there are biases, and sometimes we get screwed. And generally, there's actually no corrective metric for it, and like that sucks. But once you start leaning into that, then some pretty interesting things can happen because you're no longer waiting for external things to happen before you can take control of your life.
Fair enough. All right, are you ready to meet your panel?
All right, fuck sticks, come in. Maybe I got a supporter. I don't know.
Maybe one back there, possibly. We'll see.
All right, I'm ready to pass.
All right. Since Alish, you called Alish out first thing off the
did.
board. So I am going to allow you to the space. And what I would like to do, if you don't mind, my son hurt himself mildly, and I just need to go check on him. So if you don't mind, I'm going to just step away for a couple minutes if you all promise to behave.
Yep.
Yeah, I see that. I see that, Kai. All right, I'm gonna step away. If you guys could just play nice with each other. You guys know my general rules. You're all panelists that have been here before, and Evan's in charge. Use your big boy voice, Evan. I'll be right back.
All right, Alish, I'm sure you have things to say.
I'm not really sure where to begin here. Are you under the impression that DEI is some kind of like law or something?
What did you say?
Are you under the impression that DEI is a law or something that can be infringed upon, like specifically? Or that there's some sort of basis to DEI that would make it so that it would be a regulation that has to be fulfilled?
Well, so I'll ask this question. Did you catch the beginning of this, or are you just popping in now?
I heard you call me out, but what do you mean the beginning?
Well, because I started this off in a structured way. And so you're asking something that has already been covered in some way. And so it sounds like you didn't know that. It's fine. I just need a jumping off point. So starting point is, I don't think anybody that argues DEI will actually give a static definition. It keeps being amorphous. They'll wander around. So when I started off, I gave the Stanford University framework, the Harvard framework, and the Society for Human Resource Managers. So I took a broad swath at it and I said, these are the institutional definitions that I'm using. Do you have a problem with those? And if not, what definition would you use of DEI?
If you had to explain what it was in just a sentence, what would you describe it as?
I'm assuming that question's to Alish.
No, you nigga, fuck.
What would it be to me? I gave a definition. I went through the framework of 3 different definitions. And so you're
assume none of us heard it.
Assume none of us watched.
Okay, fine.
You said,
all right, I'll give you one.
Like a sentence run off.
All right, one sentence. Are you ready? You ready, Joe? It's better branded racism.
What does that mean?
Do you know what racism is? What part of it do you not? So I gave you, I think, a 3-word definition.
Better branded racism.
Better branded racism.
So what does
that mean? So
it's
a form of racism that is marketed better, but remains racism.
So how is
why
it
do you
racist?
think it's just racism? Like, why do you think it's just race-based?
So, are you...
or gender-based.
Let me back up. No, Alish, let me ask you this.
But we're already backing up. Oh, wow.
Okay, I guess we're resetting. Let's reset. How about that?
On what planet would you say that DEI is not race-focused, or at least race-aware?
Because DEI isn't a law. We already covered this, right?
I'm not asking about what I'm looking for. So you said, how was it racist? And so you said, do you think so? Go ahead and repeat what you had said.
So
don't let me misquote you.
So why do you think it's just based on race? Like, why are you branding it as racism when DEI kind of encompasses a lot of different points?
I'm branding it as racism because I'm branding it as racism because Mr. Lewis would like a 1-sentence definition. So a lot of nuance got lost.
What kind of diversity?
You can't distill. Hold on. Let me just make sure I'm understanding this, because you don't have the ability to distill your point into a singular sentence, or even 2 sentences or 3. Then you have to dilute it and just talk about race. Is that what I'm understanding? You know.
You asked for a 1-sentence definition. You all ignored the framework and the definitions that I already covered, which you're welcome. And I even said you're welcome to give your own.
You accepted. You accepted the assumption that none of us watched it. So like right now, assume
because that's what was presented. Did you watch it?
Assume nobody in this room watched this panel, and this panel is a separate piece of content that's separate to what you said. How would you explain that to the new people walking in? How would you explain to the new people watching this right now what DEI is? It doesn't have to be
Why
one
would
sentence,
I do
but
that?
something simply for what you're observing.
Why would you do that?
No, I literally just spent almost an hour laying out a detailed argument on something.
And everybody
so if somebody walked in, let me
featured...
finish, my friend. If you're gonna talk over me. So here's the thing. You asked the question. The answer is I wouldn't start from scratch again. It's dishonest.
So you can't summarize this in a couple of sentences, what you're saying, although you plan to have the discussion on DEI, you wouldn't be able to summarize.
Just rewatch the beginning of the stream, watch at times 2 speed, then hop back on the open panel so that you can get his definitions. Like
the problem that I'm having,
ask him to redo it again.
Yeah, to distill
I'm honestly cool with the whole racist thing. Like, if he thinks it's racism, I'd like him to quantify that.
Yeah, I guess we'll start there. He thinks it's for, like, I don't know. What'd you say again?
Better branded racism.
Better branded racism.
I gave you 3 words. You asked for a sentence. And I give you 3 words.
Is
and you
3
can't
words
remember
a
them.
sentence? Is 3 words a sentence?
It's a complete sentence.
It is a complete sentence.
Yes, it is.
All right, so
is that what qualifies as a sentence to you? 3 words.
So DEI is better branded racism.
A noun and
so DEI is better branded racism. How does that manifest practically in the workplace?
Individuals of certain races are discriminated against, and other races are given preferential treatment to.
Can you give an example of something that? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think he was yielding to you, Joe.
No, I was saying we both asked the same question.
Yeah, they were both asking you.
All right, what's the question?
Quantify it.
Oh my God.
Quantify racism?
Quantify what you just said.
So I can give an example. I know for a fact that there are large companies that have...
You're really low.
I can't hear
Yeah.
you.
You're really low. Hey, get back over to your phone.
Got his ass.
Let me go to my settings.
Oh, no, you're better now.
You could just do
Don't
that.
move.
Yeah.
I guess it was a problem.
You just have to stay by your phone.
Whatever you're doing, just don't
All right,
stop,
is it working?
Daddy.
Is it working? All right, so I know for a fact that a lot of companies have implemented hiring quotas. So they are saying they need their workforce to be a certain percentage of ethnicity X, Y, or Z. So that is racism. That is saying we need this many so-and-sos, we need this many so-and-sos, instead of just saying we're just going to hire the best people. So it is explicitly racist. There's no denying that.
Well, I have to ask you, once you said that there's quotas, where have there been quotas? Because there are no legally mandated quotas. So who's got these quotas?
I'm going to catch you guys at the knees on this argument because it's stupid. Do we agree that Bloomberg is a valid source of information and that they're not bullshit?
What?
Would you consider that?
Sure.
Bloomberg. Are you familiar with this? So
I'll take it as a source.
They published an article September 25th of 2023 that claimed S&P 100 added more than 300,000 jobs and 94% of them went to people of color. For those that are fucking confused, this country is 61% white. 6% going to whites means 1/10 of the representation that the actual head count means. So when you take a look at something, and the numbers are that stark, it looks like racism. If you have another explanation, I'm happy to hear it.
Does it cite DEI? Does it cite DEI as a cause?
3 years after Black Lives Matter protests, which I believe were race related. I believe we were complaining about race then. If that wasn't the point, I think we'd all like to know what it was.
Okay.
Police brutality, but keep going.
I'm sorry that a drug addict died. I am truly sorry about
it was just
but it doesn't mean it was brutality.
And can we get?
Yeah, I'm sorry, a podcaster died.
Oh, it was obviously brutality.
I mean,
it was obviously brutality, my guy. But
would you call it brutality if somebody put their knee up? Go ahead.
So when the Black Lives Matter,
hold up. And sorry, I want to call you. Do you go by Leith, Kai?
Lethe or Kai, whatever you want to call me.
Okay. So Lethe, here's the thing.
By the way, George Floyd overdosed. Charlie Kirk was murdered. There's a big difference.
Nobody asked you, bro.
I didn't
Alice
made a ridiculous comment.
Yeah, okay. All right. So here's
don't get triggered. It's okay.
Walk across the hall, get to your phone so we can maybe hear what you're saying.
Anyway,
Stay close to your phone, eh?
George Floyd overdosed. He was not killed by a cop. This is a fact. Time for people to get over it.
It's the fact that you dreamed up.
I even agree with you. Repeating it doesn't change anything, and it just disrupts things. So, George Floyd objectively got roughed up. The problem I have is I actually watched the video. And one of the things in a lot of these videos that people don't appreciate is the 10 to 12 minutes before things escalated. The gentleman, and I'm going to call him a gentleman, and he doesn't deserve it, but we're going to go by that anyway. The gentleman did deserve to be treated fairly, and he was given in excess of 10 minutes to be at least a little bit compliant. And then he wasn't, and he wasn't, and he wasn't, and we had excuse after excuse. Now, I don't want to get too derailed by this.
You were talking about the study. Can we get to that thing?
We'll get to that.
Oh, God.
But Mr. Chauvin there did something that he'd been trained to do, and that is not lethal to people virtually ever. And so I do have a problem if we believe that law enforcement's important as a category and that we should train them and they should follow their training. It's incumbent on us to make sure that the training that they're following isn't going to lead them astray. And so
I regret coming here. The focus is kind of rough. So you were talking about a study that we're pointing to in the wake of Black Lives Matter something. Then we got into George Floyd. Let's just mind wipe that. So what did the study reveal?
Can we get the article as well? Can you post it?
Yeah, that'd be great too.
Jesus, fuck you people are so bad faith. I'm going to say this again.
How is it bad faith to ask for a source?
Bloomberg.
You got sidetracked on George Floyd.
Literally, I'm answering your question. Do you want the question answered?
I really like the article, but cool, whatever you want to do.
Let me reset.
Literally, if you just Google Bloomberg and then S&P 100 or Black Lives Matter protest, it comes right up. It takes 2 seconds. I've given you everything you need. Everything you need. All right.
You could simply just post the article. That's the easiest. That'll be the
that would be easiest if you put it back in the private chat, and then I'll drop it to the regular chat as well. Jason says with a big 5, talk really simple for the lefties. They can't understand otherwise. So slow and use small words, I guess. Thumping Weevil adding to the lip gloss fun. Thank you so much, Weevil. We love you up here. I'm glad you made it. You made it without having to wait. And I do have Steve from AM Wake Up hanging out backstage, waiting to be brought up. You know, if you want to bring somebody up, there are rules around that. Just ask one of the mods. Jason also says, look up Andrew Brigida. Is that Brigida? I don't know who that is, but I might look him up on my end, just out of curiosity. And Trib says, I'd like to hear from Joshua what static definition for anything would be, and if that is determinative at all for it to be understood or applied.
I think it just, at a minimum, needs to be consistent within the same discussion. They're talking about the metaphysics of over time. It appears literally just the same person using the same definition for an hour. So raise your hand if you wanted me to give you a source. No. Okay, we got one honest man, one honest woman. Joe, apparently, Owlist, apparently, they're
my hands raised. Is that a
we're
frame?
Not 5.
I'm sorry. Just post.
You're acting like you're 5. Here's the thing. If you ask for a source and I provide it, here's the consequence. Boom, there's the source. I did the Googling for it. I already explained everything to you. If you gave a single flying fuck, you could have just Googled it yourself. You had all of the keywords to do it. But I did that. Why? Because I have a source. And you asked for a source.
Okay,
but part of how you shit libs argue, now not all libs are shit libs, but shit libs are a particular class that will always ask for a source. And no matter how many times you provide, they'll keep asking and they won't hold themselves to the same standard. So there's your source.
You can't do a debate. You need a source. That's pretty like standard, right? Like if you're
glossing
something,
you're glossing past the part where you were too stupid or lazy to Google the exact terms I gave you to let you easily find it in half a second yourself.
Oh my God, you're complaining about
I used your terms. I didn't get this.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and address the article since like you want to bitch and complain about having to post it. But don't you think that if any company was not benefiting or was not seeing any positive outcome from so-called DEI hiring, they would continue to do it, or that they would continue to be a company that was in the black or in the positive in terms of finances? Because
a lot of companies are scrapping them. A lot of companies are scrapping. They're unprofitable.
No, so they're scrapping them due to popular opinion, not because there's any negative. There's anything negative happening financially.
The only reason DEI was supported was because BlackRock and other organizations were giving stipends to go and support those businesses to go and try to push a political message. But since BlackRock is stopping that, that's why a lot of these things are going away. Plus, USAID is no longer funding a bunch of NGOs that are also doing the same thing.
What does USAID have to do with anything?
They fund shit programs.
USAID was used to fund NGOs, and NGOs are used to go and give untraceable money to other organizations to affect societal change, to go and make it so that companies can go and do a social agenda that a specific subset of elites want, and while the company still stays profitable. It's why for Bud Light, they were able to do something so incredibly stupid, but are still within the top of the beer market. Not tippy top anymore, but still up there.
That's a crazy claim considering USAID only is for overseas work. So I don't know what you're even talking about. USAID has no
they do DEI overseas too, right?
And right, he's talking about Bud Light. Where is Bud Light?
I'm saying
everywhere?
NGOs. NGOs doesn't have to be in the United States. It can be to other countries. And those other countries can go and funnel the money back into it.
Help me, Evan.
You just used a very specific company.
Is Bud Light an international company?
Sure.
Is Bud Light based in the U.S.?
The headquarters is.
Yes. So the specific campaign you're talking about was a U.S. campaign. So why would USAID give any money to that or even care about it?
USAID gives the money to Bud Light to go and support their other endeavors.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be strict state, purely United States. It's the same way Qatar gets money to U.S. universities, but that money doesn't leave the Emirates soil because it just funds their overseas university.
I think saying that USAID may not have been involved in the national NGOs, but U.S. government is giving grants to domestic NGOs as well, so it doesn't have to be USAID.
I recommend not using USAID to prove a point that doesn't exist because USAID has nothing to do with anything domestic. Okay, and Bud Light isn't going to receive money from someone overseas to go back to Bud Light, right?
No, but you're too stupid to understand this, Alice, and I want to walk you through it.
I'm too stupid to understand, but USAID was brought up in reference to a domestic company.
Let's ignore USAID. That's obviously upsetting you, and I get that because
no, it's not upsetting me. It's just
let's stay focused here.
Information.
Factually speaking, the whole fucking reason why that campaign ever happened was to shove money into ESG programs, and you say, well, it's because they're making money. What happened to Bud Light after they did their DEI ad to be more inclusive of the trans community? Did their sales go up or down?
They went down because
they went down because it was a bad business decision, right?
Not exactly
the bad business decision was nudged by money for ideological goal, right?
The conservative snowflakes got mad.
You mean the main people who consume Bud Light?
Hold on, let her finish.
Yeah, a bunch of snowflakes got mad that a trans woman was drinking the same drink as them. I know how triggering that is for you.
I don't even like beer. And Dylan looks very feminine. I'll go that far. It's just a stupid decision for a brand like that.
Alice,
who won? Who won Woman of the Year? Wasn't that?
What?
Yeah, I think it was Dylan Mulvaney. I think he did that.
Notice how the feminists are erasing femininity by pretending men can be women. I think it's pretty ironic that we've come to this point.
I don't know where that disembodied voice comes from. I'm gonna get confused. Is that philosophy, Phoenix, or Calvin?
Look at like being a woman and being out-womaned on Woman of the Year by a man. Like that's insulting. We can't even win the women's league.
Feminists are voting for people who are putting men in women's sports leagues and destroying the women and claiming that they're advancing women's rights. This is how
I liked it when he was farther away. So I read the article that you sent me about Bloomberg. I have some questions.
I cannot wait to hear how you're going to spin this one. Please go. What's the question?
Do you think it's reasonable to suspect that these companies did this in order to save face for their bottom line and then broadly just their public image?
who the fuck cares if about the reason they're being racist? Racism is bad. If racism is bad, racism is bad. Do we agree on that one?
We can interrogate the
or are you
reasons
deflecting? Because
why.
I showed you this because you said, show me examples. I said, look, 6% of the population, no, I'm sorry, 61% of the population got 6% of the job there. That's wild. If it was the other way around, you'd be absolutely on my side. But because it happens to be for those of us with less melanin, you're like, well, actually, let's go into wondering blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no.
This
He's
is
gonna learn the hard
shit
way.
lib logic 101. Don't like the fact I gave you the source you asked for. It supports the claim that I made. We have to wander off into Narnia. Go ahead. What was... And I'm sorry, I will answer your direct question. You asked 2 questions.
Guy. I agree with you that this is wrong. What the fuck are you talking about? I was trying to go down the thing to see what your thought process is.
Well, you could have started with that. I'm right. I love hearing that. Thank God you realized it.
I never said that you were right.
Okay, do I think they did it to protect their bottom line? No, I think they did it because of incentives from ESG scoring for investments and the valuation of their stock. I think it was a stock price thing. So if you're so it's not about
their bottom line. This was good for their bottom line.
So it's not about their brand image, but it is an economic decision.
Do you think the brand image is a part of that?
No one really cares.
Not really.
Leftists, and leftists don't hold the majority of money.
Is the leftist
well, it's not even that.
What's happening?
No, Joe, hear me. Joe, hang with me here. The ESG scoring said your stock is worth more money if you have this ratio.
I get that part.
And that is the incentive.
You don't have to re-explain it. I understand that part of your argument. So why do you think the shift went broadly in the opposite direction afterwards? Right? So if we look at this at face value,
what
right?
Shift and what afterwards after what?
This was an environment before the Harvard case, right? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Holy shit. Why are you looking it up? The answer is yes. They tracked the point.
Look up something to make sure that I'll...
After Black Lives Matter protests, which were in when? Just for remind the audience. 2020 to 2021, they saw a shift in hiring from these companies. This was before the Harvard case, right? In the aftermath of the Harvard case, we cannot do these type of practices anymore of like racialized quotas. I mean, this is in the college aspect, so it's a little bit different. And I agree with you. Look, I support the Harvard case. I've been on this. I've argued with Leafy about this. But the question that I guess I have for you is, what exactly do you want to see in the hiring practices in America?
Well, so we got to walk back to before we do the hiring and talk about workforce development.
Meritocracy.
No, that's not what I said.
That dude's not Calvin. You gotta shut the fuck up, my guy. Holy shit.
That was A.
It's a philosophy. I'm sorry, Calvin. I'm so sorry. These non-camera folks are making me mad. Keep going, Josh.
Yeah, no, they're maddening. That's why. So so if we take a look at the historic injustices. So
I don't give a fuck about the historic injustice. I do not give a fuck.
Okay, I do.
I'm not one of those Negroes that's going to care about that. You don't have to go down this rabbit hole. But if you feel like you need to,
I do feel like I need to.
Okay,
I do feel like I need to.
Not going to stop you.
If we have historic injustices we're trying to correct for now, what a lot of people are looking at is socioeconomically, a lot of people have been left in the past. And so what we're trying to do is address the socioeconomic disparities there. The solution for that isn't saying we have X amount of college admission openings, so we're going to divvy up how those look. It's actually creating more opportunity. So I think what we need to be doing is better workforce development that is not contingent on limited higher education enrollment. And we need to be working on actually developing folks to go out into the workforce and being able to raise everybody's abilities and giving them access, not picking and choosing based off of whatever criteria.
Okay.
And
so
before you go, let me Jason says, Owlish, companies were getting money from the government for DEI hires. Do you do research?
No, she does not.
Well, let her answer. It's hers to respond to.
Yeah, it's just because they were getting money or they were getting kickbacks from it doesn't mean that it's a law. I don't know why you would bring that up. So, I mean, I understand that getting incentives but from the government because of like their contracting or whatever is something that the government does do. that doesn't make it a law. So ending DEI practices doesn't necessarily benefit anyone overall or anything overall.
It benefits the people who are getting discriminated and not getting hired because of quotas.
So to answer, so
it
to address that,
white male.
Yep.
So to address, okay. So I know you
really,
want to feel victimized so bad. To address this hiring practice thing, when you hire somebody, you have to actually set a baseline for who you're going to actually put on the roster. So I think that credentials actually play a very important role in hiring, because if you have why?
Yeah.
Because if you have 5 applications in front of you and you can see that somebody had like multiple classes in college and Fairden had a very high GPA and they have a degree in something that is related to the job, you know that at a baseline their competence may be higher than somebody who didn't go to college. Not saying that can necessarily be true, but not saying that can necessarily be true, but when you're just looking at a piece of paper and you haven't actually talked to anybody yet, your chances are higher that you're going to get somebody competent by looking at their prior experience and their degree program and what they actually already accomplished than a pick and guess and choose someone you picked off the street, right?
What does that have
Can
to
you
do
do something
with
other than post memes? Like that's cringe.
Trip says, for the anti-DEI people, is representation a plus or not? If no, is it because you already have a lot of representation, or is it another reason?
Can I answer that? Because I'm not sure I'm worried about their answers.
Oh.
Well, also, let us answer at some point.
Damn it, Sam.
Yeah, representation.
Do I think so? What is so? I'm a hard context engineer, and so a lot of times people will give me things, and it seems like it's an incomplete thought. I'll be confused as being pedantic or difficult. I don't know what you mean when you say representation. Sure,
I'll answer.
In a vacuum, why not? Now, here's the other thing. If the whole point is we need to have people that look like us, that's tribalism, and it rarely leads anywhere good. And so it might feel good into that, but it's not good overall for society.
Yeah, the idea is that white people are too evil to represent everyone, so we need people of other skin colors to do it. For me, I don't care if a group of people is 100% white, 100% black, or 100% something in between. Just get the best people. Representation, as far as like racial statistics, is meaningless. It's just get the best people for the job and just do it. Why do we need different skin colors up there? That's what I want to know.
And I need you guys to tell the Hodge twins that. I need you guys to tell Candace Owens that.
I don't know where you're running around with this idea that it's.
Yeah, on one hand, you're like, I don't care what the representation looks like, but then at the same time, you're like, well, I have an issue with what the representation looks like. It's kind of weird. Like if you're talking about,
it's a lot about race that everybody's going on. Like nobody's ever talking about
race.
Sex.
Remember?
Hold on. Not a lot of people are talking about the sex, though, right?
True.
Everybody's talking about the race. Nobody's talking about the fucking sex.
Because he says
either way, women tend to benefit. So like, it's not really
because he said it's like rape. What was
so
it?
That's a whole different conversation, right? That's a whole different conversation.
Let me ask y'all.
Right?
DEI stands for diversity.
Everybody wants to talk about race. Nobody wants to talk about the sex.
Is that the quartering?
Go ahead, A.
All right, so DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So what does the diversity, what does the D stand for? What kind of diversity do y'all want? You got race,
diversity. So from everything that I understand about it, diversity is concerning differences among the people based on their visible and invisible identities. So visible identity is something that you can literally see in a person. Like I am presumably a Black American. Lethe is Black and light skin. We'll worry about that part later. Alish appears to be, for all intents and purposes, a white woman. And then you have invisible identities, like whatever type of medical conditions that somebody might have, whatever their certain status in society financially might look like. Those are invisible things that also make up who you are. And when you're trying to have a diverse group of people, you want to have people with a bunch of different and varying visible and invisible identities. Like, just because you have a room full of white people does not necessarily mean it's not a diverse room. It might not be diverse on the aspect of visible identities, but it might be diverse in other types of identities.
Can I ask, what is, this is going to sound incredibly terrible the way I'm going to ask this, but I'm asking this to provoke a thought process here. What is the benefit, like the true benefit of diversity, and is it always going to actually be a benefit, or can it be a negative? I mean, diversity is great in terms of like, oh, we get more culture and different ideas and different communities and experiences. Yeah, wish-wash, but do I want that?
Well, I think we absolutely do. Like, I think if we had more diversity, we wouldn't have got that garbage Kylie Jenner Coca-Cola commercial. Like, the idea that other people have ideas and will feel more comfortable in an environment where they're welcomed, I think is a bonus for whatever marketing.
And not for
anything else
nothing,
you do.
I look at the Wicked cast, and it doesn't seem like they have a lot of sandwich eaters on that cast. It's very unfortunate. Seems like there's not a lot of food going around on that cast. I mean,
That is very true. Is that weird? That is weird. What's happening to them?
I'm just poking fun at that movie.
I would just like to say that Lethe looks way more like the villain in every Chinese martial arts movie than he does absolutely anything else. My dude, you could like a house of 1,000 fists. You could be that villain. You could. I don't think you should be limited by anyone on the panel. I think you can be all things at once.
Jason says hire the most qualified, don't hire on race or sex. It worked for a long time.
No, nepotism works. Okay, let's be honest about this shit. Nepotism is how jobs work, no matter if you're at the pinnacle of the elite or if your cousin Mark has a freaking drywall business. That's how that works. And so the best that you can do at any position that you're at, whatever station that you're born in, is be good at something. You can parlay that in many different countries into something that is incredibly successful. But nepotism is how business works absolutely everywhere. And when nepotism runs into state-sponsored terrorism and extortion, then you either take that nepotism and make it a part of the state-sponsored extortion, theft, graft, whatever people call it, taxes, and I'm gonna hem you up for building a porch onto your house and stuff like that. But however the state steals from you, that also revolves around nepotism. That's just how it works. Doesn't matter where you're at.
I wanted to go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I did want to kind of add into that because networking is a very big key of getting jobs. I've been able to especially bartending. I bartended for a very long time, and every bar I ever walked in, it was because somebody else recommended me to somebody, and I walked in and I immediately got Friday, Saturday nights. If you're a bartender, those are the best nights to work, and you can't just walk in and have those unless you're me. Right? Or a pretty girl, or this, or that. And so, like, even in companies, I've had a lot of people reach out and say, hey, I put your name. I brought in a friend to 2 different companies because I was like, look, she's the best. I've worked with her at 2 different places. You want her absolutely blah, 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 blah. It was nepotism at its finest, right? But, I mean, that's, but I also think that speaks to your ability to network and your work ethic that people see, know, and understand. They have the experience with you and know you're a good person, and they're willing to put their name on it and risk their name on it.
I think, well, you're in service, so you kind of understand this, where in a lot of ways, sometimes it doesn't even matter how good you are in terms of your skills in service. Like, people will take risks on you if they know that you're not an asshole. Like, one of the things, like,
or they do want to know your ass. They do want you to be an asshole.
Yeah,
It
like
depends.
I've seen the number one thing that I've seen from bartenders that found them getting better work and getting more work is just doing the assignment and not being an asshole. And those kind of function kind of similarly on the same level, where it's like, as long as you don't piss people off, you tend to at the very least be likable in certain avenues. And the same thing is kind of true here.
Yeah,
right?
but you won't be able to walk in and get a Friday, Saturday night, though.
Absolutely not. Like there's still a level of like ability that you have to demonstrate, especially in like you know the drill. Like I'm not gonna hire somebody on a Super Bowl Sunday to work my bar, even if they're nice and they don't know what they're doing, like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I actually think one of the reasons Trump is probably the greatest president of all time is because he's an asshole. You know, you get these people in there who are too nice. They want to, bend over to these foreign adversaries. We finally got someone who's going to stand up. It's going to be a mean guy. Who's going to, call people names. Let's do it. Like,
okay, cool. Then why
So
are you
how
doing
many-
to Bibby? Damn.
You got something in your throat.
So how many
shaking
peace
my head.
agreements did he fail again with Russia? How many peace agreements did he fail?
Trump
Everything's
has been
about
nominated. Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by like 10 different countries. So let's.
I don't care. That didn't answer my question. How many
Trump
peace
is a
agreements
stupid
did he
topic
fail?
right now.
Yep.
Why are we talking about Trump?
Good point.
It's the guy with the thing in his throat. He couldn't. He had to get it out.
Let me take a brief moment. I've got Duck backstage, and he has 2 minutes to beg someone to pay $100 to allow him back on. Calvin, I'm just going to pop you back for a second, but I'm going to bring you back up after I do Duck's thing, so hang tight. Duck, sir, you have
What up,
2
Sarah?
minutes. Your timer.
No informality, Sarah. How are you doing tonight, Sarah? How are you doing tonight, Duck?
I'm
Good to
very
see you, Duck.
lovely. I do like your avatar, Duck.
Thank you. I was just actually going to make a different avatar with an angry tomato and a DEI thing, because I think everybody deserves the sort of experience of DEI. That's what I wanted to talk to you and talk to Josh about tonight.
You have a minute and a half left. You might want to kick it out. This is for you to try to plead, to beg someone to pay the hundo to let you come back on so that you can continue the conversation.
Yeah, so what I mostly wanted to say is that in work, there's two things that are really important. Is that you can, hi everyone, by the way, you can give anyone a new opportunity. When your company is successful, somebody gets to do something they already know they're really good at, or somebody gets to do something they've never done before. And so DEI speaks actually to both of those things. It gives people the correct opportunities at the right times. And just like in general, like something that, we forgot old people know is that like none of it matters, right? It's all bullshit. No one will tell you that except me, right? I'm the only honest person in this entire tomato verse and the entire panel verse, actually. But why that matters is because when you know that you can be so awesome, you can be so passionate, you can do your job incredibly well, and you'll be happy with that outcome and result. But then you have the chance to go beyond and do something exceptional.
30 seconds.
DEI is a little bit of both. DEI, like if you guys want to grift a little money to keep me up or something, if not all, I'm happy to see you guys another time. But DEI is that passion and it's that purpose in one box. So support that and support good hiring. And whatever, for broke people, I'm with you.
All right, Doc, I'm going to tuck you backstage. If anybody would like to bring Doc back, it would cost $100 to get him back up here to go against the full boot that he has for the evening, unfortunately. We love Doc. He's our friend, but he gets booted a lot because of shit like that. So we love you, but if you want to see more of Doc, pay $100. And Jason adds in earlier, it doesn't benefit a company to get money for hiring someone. That's money in their pocket for hiring someone. So it doesn't actually benefit the employees per se. It benefits the concept. Like you just get paid to hire the right quota.
I mean, what we're talking about, right, is diversity, equity, and inclusion in spaces that traditionally haven't seen them. Do it for the lefties on the panel. Do I have that like broad strokes correct?
I'm just deeply disinterested about the historical argument, but
well, no, I mean, I'm asking like right now, 2025. Let's say you wake up in the morning, you're in charge of a company on the verge of hitting the Fortune 500. Okay, you are the CEO who is responsible for it's a holiday season, you had some turnover, you want to bring in new hires fresh for the new year. Okay, what is your directive to your HR department for who you want to you're on the verge of the Fortune 500. You're doing really well. You had some down years, you came back up, you came through all of the struggle, and man, Joe, you are right there on the edge, about to be like a major player in industry. What is your directive to your hiring department? Do you tell them, look, man, we need to get top in their field of people who can put us over the edge and take us to this next level? Or do you tell them, you know what, dude, we're down 3 Filipinos and that's what we need to focus on? You know what, we don't have an Argentinian midget with 6 fingers and I swear to God, its heads are gonna roll if we don't get that Argentinian midget. What is your directive to your hiring department?
Hire good people.
I'm sorry, what?
Hire
good people.
Okay, what is that?
Hire whoever is
mean?
going to make your company most attractive.
I just laid out a scenario where hiring good people was part of that. Is that what you mean? Like that's you just want the cream of the crop. You want to push your company over the edge. Yeah.
You just wrote some fan fiction. That's what you just did. A scenario that's never happened, and you're in the entirety of the world. I don't think
it's a hypothetical to test logic. That's the point of the question.
Right.
So when you have a hypothetical, like when you have a hypothetical like that, it helps if you actually infuse some logic in it.
Hire based on skin color.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it
that
doesn't.
is not what DEI is.
Let me break in real quick, and I will hand it back to Alish.
In the real world where that has not played out, can we start with the LA Fire Department?
Sure.
No.
Before we dive down that hole,
I'm in LA.
Jason
Tell me
has
about
sent
the LA Fire Department.
Jason has sent $10, and he's requesting that Evan pick someone to boot in order to bring up Clay. So Evan, I will drop the names so that you can see everybody's names. You're welcome to pick.
Well,
except for Joshua. Joshua can't get booted.
All right. Yep. Joe, I'm sorry, man, but
I already knew I was going to get kicked first. I catch you on the other side.
Hey,
all right, hang tight, Joe, because we've got some other people leave.
Yeah, I'll chill in the back.
Yeah, just hang tight because you're going to come right back up. Just give it a second.
Oh, I think you should stay.
All right, and then Clay is up, and then I do want to hand it to A. A was first in line. He wanted to say his goodbyes and make his exit. Go ahead, A.
All right, can you hear me? Yeah, I got my 2-minute timer set now, so I'm just gonna keep it 2 minutes and then I'm out. I just kind of want to say that, in my opinion, DEI, yes, diversity. What are we talking about diversity? We're definitely talking about race and gender. These are the two things. And what people are trying to say is that essentially, they're not saying we need, obviously, more white people. To me, DEI is saying there's too many white people, specifically white males. We need to reduce that percentage in the workforce, even if those are the most qualified. So I am a white male, and what do I get out of DEI? Nothing. People like me get nothing out of DEI. So why should I support it? And if you look at all the other ethnicities, none of the other ethnicities is doing this. You don't see this happening in China. You don't see this happening in Central America. You don't see, you don't see these other ethnicities clamoring for themselves to be reduced as a portion of the workforce. Now, I want to be very clear. I want all ethnicities to succeed. I want them all to succeed in America. I want them all to succeed abroad. But DI, the purpose of it is to reduce people like me, our standing in society. So I just want to know, why should I support DI when, to me, it's just a tool to remove people like me, even if we are the most qualified for the job. So I guess I'll just leave it there, and I hope everyone has a good evening. Goodbye.
Good night, A. Thanks for popping on. Missed you.
So
Catch you around. Well, hold on, because we got a few other ones to get through. Calvin, are you for sure heading out?
I am.
Oh, that breaks my heart. Okay, go ahead and do whatever it is you would like to do, sir.
Okay, yeah. So I had posed a question earlier to Josh, but I think I guess he stated he did not quite understand it and had to do with Pete Hegseth and Matt Gaetz. And the reason why I brought that up because the Trump administration is all about DEI hiring being bad, and the basis that they've used is merit, putting people in position that do not have merit. And even Vivek, I can recall everything has been about merit. And when we had that plane accident, the first day they were in office, you remember that the helicopter hit the plane. It was all about DEI and putting people who are not qualified in putting people who are not qualified in positions that they are not should not be. And another argument they've actually used as well is Ketanji Jackson as well as being some type of DEI hire. She's not qualified. She's a black woman or whatever the case would be. So that's why I brought up Matt Gaetz. People who are objectively were not qualified for their position, but they were white males and they were put in this position. So that's why I asked that question to you.
Sure, but Matt Gaetz isn't in office. Here's what you need to understand.
No. I just since he's recommended, you want to
just quickly.
He's responding to me.
The things that matter when being appointed are loyalty to the incumbent and loyalty to the state of Israel. Nothing else matters.
And Joshua, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah,
it's not that I didn't.
It's not that I didn't understand your question. I thought it was stupid because it wasn't. They're not connected. A presidential appointment and corporate hiring policies are very different critters altogether. So the criteria itself is a nonsensical application.
How so? I mean that.
Okay, great. So do you know how a presidential appointment works?
Yeah.
Okay, so how the fuck is that not different than a hiring process?
Because you're nominating someone for the position that should be eligible for that position, and you, right?
Well, no. So if that was meant to be a hired position, it would be enumerated as a hired position. It's an appointed position because the person appointing it can just choose who they want, and then it has to get confirmed, and so that's sort of the check and balance on there. But that's the whole point: is they can appoint whoever the hell they want.
Okay, so when
That's
Biden,
how hiring works.
okay, so
shut the fuck up, Owlish.
Okay, so
you're
when
not
Biden,
even saying anything that makes sense.
Okay, so
really
when the right makes the argument that
it's not about a right, it's
okay,
appointed position versus a hiring process. Two category. Even the federal government has a hiring.
Josh. So when the right make the argument that Ketanji, who was appointed to the Supreme Court, she was appointed, right? She was appointed, right?
She was, yeah. Well,
Ketanji.
she was nominated and confirmed. Yeah, and she wasn't competent, but it's not because of her race or gender.
Am I in
part
Twilight
of
Zone?
And
Am I
avoiding
Twilight
appearance
Zone?
of bias. She sits on the board of a private school that has very, very racist teachings. It's not even that she shouldn't have those. It's if you're on the highest court of land or literally any bench, you're supposed to maintain the appearance of neutrality. And so when you violate that by publicly advocating for policies like present racism makes up for past racism, it creates the appearance that you might not impartially carry out your duties as a neutral trier of fact.
Josh, I think my question is pretty much simple. I'm trying to follow your logic, basically.
I didn't bring up Ketanji. You did.
Okay,
and you're leaving.
Okay. So she was nominated just like Pete, right? She was nominated, right?
Sure.
Okay, correct. So when the right makes the argument that she is not qualified or things of that nature because of race or whatever, that's a DEI pick.
It's not because of her race. You smuggled that in there. It's because she's incompetent, and also she does not have the clear reputation. She gives off more than the appearance that she's not biased.
And when Biden was announcing that he was going to choose her, the reason he said is we're looking for the first black woman on the Supreme Court. And that, in him saying that, didn't really help the perceived meritocratic stance of what.
Yeah, like if he would have just nominated her, I would have been like, cool. Okay, but if she was actually qualified, he would have done her a great disservice by saying, "We're going to nominate this token," and that's not fair. That's not fair to the bench.
They did
that's not
kind
fair
of
to
trip over
Ketanji.
their own
That's not
dick
fair to the
when they were
American
like,
people.
"Hey, we're solely doing
for the
this
right to,
on
but for
the basis of race," and
but for the right to nominate
the people in power that put her into that position. I think the left-right thing is silly. I don't have a dog in this fight, but Evan and Joshua are speaking 100% fact. Like it was stated on the basis of the party that she was being nominated based on the color of her skin. It had nothing to do with her record. That's what they said. So if we're gonna believe the rhetoric, that's the rhetoric.
Well, okay. Well,
hey, Steve, was Clarence Thomas a DEI hire?
No.
We didn't have that terminology back then.
He's incompetent. He's incompetent.
He
didn't even
based
do
on
anything.
I mean, we can go
literally
through his record and you can make points.
Joshua,
sure.
So what's her, the white lady, Coney Barrett? What was her name?
Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah, wasn't she a DEI hire? Trump said he was
going to. She's a woman.
I don't know, and I honestly, I don't like her for reasons you probably wouldn't get.
So I would argue. My question. So Trump said, "I'm going to hire."
I would argue that Howard Lutnick is a DEI hire.
When Trump said after Ruth RBG died, he said he was going to nominate a woman to replace her. Wouldn't that be like a DEI hire? When he said, if he specifically said, "I'm going to hire a woman."
Well, any woman is a DEI hire, right?
Josh.
Right, boys? Right?
Josh.
I mean, so we have to go back to the definition on it. What's your definition of DEI? Because the one I laid out at the beginning of this was pretty comprehensive. So are we saying because she was hired because Trump said she was a woman? I don't know. I don't even find the argument that interesting, again, because you seem obsessed with looking at presidential appointments and those types of mechanics, not the actual hiring practices that most of the population's dealing with.
Well, I'm just judging you based on what I've heard other right people say. Maybe you may be different.
Does it bother you that KJB is openly racist?
KJB.
Yes, the
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Ketanji Brown Jackson. Does it bother you that she's openly racist?
I don't know her to be openly racist.
Okay, so let's just assume for a moment she is. Would that bother you?
Yeah, if she was, yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh,
so when
Brenda,
she
you sound like you're in a fish tank or something.
Oh, I am in a fish tank.
Or like a tin can, maybe.
Okay.
And Thumping Weevil, she's having bad Wi-Fi, so she's giving her seat up.
Welcome back, Joe. We missed you.
No, you didn't. Anyway.
Let me ask. I've got Trib says representation is the benefit of diversity, Sarah. It tends to work in hand with progress and productivity. I mean, I don't know if I want to be represented everywhere.
Can I ask a question real quick? Are black ideas superior to white ideas?
Why are we stuck on race?
This about race?
God,
oh my god!
Okay,
can't they just be different ideas?
It depends on like the category.
Are trans ideas superior to white
What's
ideas?
a trans idea? What do we do?
Native American furries?
One at a time. Brenda, what is wrong with your mic? Why is it being all weird?
Because I'm talking into my phone.
It's like it really is coming in like you're in a tin can or something. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll drop out.
Okay. But I mean, I'm joking, but I'm kind of serious. Like, what's the?
Well, Noah, can I ask you what's a black idea?
What's a black idea?
Yeah, what's a black idea?
The
Last
OJ's
time
innocent.
I checked, it was chicken sauce at Thanksgiving.
Chicken.
Nuh-uh.
What even is that, my dude?
You
wait,
got
remind me of something. The black idea is cleaning the turkey with dish soap.
This is why we got to make a clarification that Sarah does
making
not bear
fun of
any
anyone
responsibility
who
for the
broke
things
out
that
a
people say
white
on
owl
panels.
when it
Good
was
Lord.
I already accepted.
Oh my god!
Like there's
Chicken sauce, y'all.
Like I could probably riff on this for 35 minutes if you
Please
want.
don't.
I'm sure you could, but don't.
I'm sure you could. Please don't.
We could all have.
We
fun.
all agree. Don't.
Can I kind of add something interesting to the mix that like
I doubt
people
it, but
don't
let's
consider
hear it.
DEI but is? I think that the fact that veterans get priority hiring is DEI.
Why do you think that?
You get extra points. You don't get priority. You get extra points.
You get extra points, which is DEI, right? When you fill out a job application and you see on the application, "Are you a veteran?"
How do you get there?
And you answer yes to that.
I think the points put you in like priority review, like it boosts you up to the top of the list to be reviewed, before anyone else, right? But it doesn't guarantee you the seat either, though.
There are incentives for the employer.
Neither does any other incentive. And yes, there are incentives to hiring.
But what definition?
Yes, there are incentives.
I guess the clean
veterans and felons.
Well,
Veterans?
hold on. If you were
talking
reviewing paperwork, and like, are you gonna know? I mean, unless it's like a very obvious name, but are you gonna know whether they're black or white when they fill out submit their resume?
You know, in most cases in jobs, you can see racial ID. That's why it's an optional addition, but there's no. You can like say other. You can say none. You can say
without
not to share.
That's separate. That doesn't come in on the hiring stuff. That's a whole separate piece.
I'm looking at my app. Like I'm doing job applications right now in the background. I can see the race of all 9 of my applicants.
Yeah,
but I guess let's just speak to something different.
Yeah, like if you submit an application, there's that extra prompt that comes up, and it's like it's not part of the company, but it's like
the survey.
Yeah, and you can choose. I always just choose not to answer it.
Well, yeah, there's two.
I hired
Sure.
people. I was on the other end, right?
Yeah.
And there was nothing that we put out there that said, what race are you? What sex are you? What this or that or another. Like when, yeah. So what I'm saying is the veterans thing, what it does is it just guarantees you pass the filter of buzzword keywords on a resume. But it doesn't guarantee, it just lets you pass through the first round and puts you as like, hey, by the way, they get, and your points are the point system you get is based on like, were you injured and do you receive disability and things like that? Were you this? Were you that? I think I'm a 10-pointer, I think, based on whatever it is I have. And there's like a certain amount of points that you get. And that just guarantees you just get pushed through the filter. Yeah.
And
right. So
I guess Alice, you're saying that prioritization system with veterans is an example of a hiring practice that's trying to ensure a type of treatment of applicants.
Oh, it's preferential treatment.
And that's it's preferential treatment. And and don't get me wrong, I think it's perfectly valid. I think that veterans should be given priority because, it's being in service. I was never a service member.
Everyone else, am I right?
Yeah. I was never a service member, but I understand that like being in combat or whatever way you served in the military, sometimes you need to transition to a civilian job, and that gives you kind of an easier way to transition, which is fine. So I don't have any problem with it. I'm just pointing out. No,
so that's a lower bar then?
Well, and you also look at it this way, like these are your military members that went out.
For anyone who was a victim of the drug war too.
Oh, so I'm just wondering, as Clay begins to go on this particular piece of work, Are the standards being lowered for the veterans that are being put in the front of the line, or are they being still hired on match?
No, you still. What I'm saying is, you get pushed to the front of the line in terms of your resume will automatically be reviewed by someone.
Right.
So usually, especially, it's not lowering the bar at all. What it does is, so in a first hire, or in a first few steps in like corporate America, when you're hiring people, there's a filtration system when they submit their resumes. That filtration system's looking for buzzwords, very specific things towards the job description. Like if you're doing admin, they're looking for typing speeds, phone communications, email communications, support role type of buzzwords, right? So that's why I always say, if you're going to go apply somewhere, look up the job description and use exactly those words as much as you can, because that's what they're looking for. However, if you get that 5 or 10 point check mark box as a veteran, it passes that filtration system and automatically guarantees you'll get eyes on your resume, or at least pass through that initial filtration process. It's not lowering the bar. It's just saying, hey, I'm just bypassing the line. Look at me first. And it's not even first. The bar is still there. It doesn't guarantee you. Hold on. It doesn't guarantee you a job. It doesn't guarantee you could submit a resume that says, I eat shit for a living and that's all I know, and you have that 10-point system. It just passes that through that filtration system and just guarantees somebody's going to take a look. Doesn't mean that
the last 35 years have really done a lot to like squash old man McGillicuddy in the widget factory going, Demetrius Jenkins, I don't think so. Like that's not really a part of the hiring process for most of corporate America anymore. Not to say that there aren't people throughout the US that don't hire based on, again, like either nepotism or people who are in their same like general socioeconomic group or stuff like that. That happens all the time, all across the board. But when you're discounting people that do have the capability to do the job in order to fill a United Colors of Benetton quota, regardless of whether or not that quota exists on paper or if it's just kind of a company thing that you have to do, that's a detriment to the overall company and overall workforce. And it has it doesn't matter what color, where you come from, anything like that. Doesn't matter what your gender is, who you choose to go home with. None of that matters. And nor should it, but it does.
I mean, that's a lot of virtue signaling.
And that's just
if nobody's enforcing a quota and they choose to hire people based on this particular practice when no one's telling them to do it, they may be seeing some benefit in doing so. And you can't tell me that they aren't.
Contracts may be awarded based on it, and preferential bidding may be given towards it, and things like that. Like, you know how it works, man. Don't fucking act like you
Is it happening?
Don't know how fucking business works.
Can you prove it's happening? Can you prove it's happening?
Can you prove it's not?
Of
course.
I don't need to prove it negative, my dude.
Is America racist? Can you prove it happening? Is there objectively racist laws? Can you prove that? Because if you can't, then you should shut up about social issues. Because it's not real.
I have no idea what's happening.
I don't
either. I don't know. Let me reset here. Trip says, I won't say it because of diverse. I won't say it is because of diversity. I think the most prosperous nations happen to be more diverse than others comparatively. Do y'all think diversity will be the downfall for them in the long run?
I think that you need to have a population with just differing perspective and views, ideas, and stuff like that. I think America is just kind of obsessed with race insofar as it's like, not necessarily don't talk about it anymore, but it's just like, if you're going to talk about race, it's probably best to be very specific about the things you're trying to speak to as it relates to the general public. Like these sort of like nebulous ideas that like, oh, these people are actively thinking about the race of the applicants when they're doing it. Nobody's doing that. Like, nobody's like sitting there hoping that like there's a minority that walks through the door that they can hire them. I think it was
this
true.
Is why we don't give shit libs statistics. They ignore them.
Yeah, if that was the case, then Japan would be obsessed with race, because Japan is one of the countries that puts an actual limit on people who aren't Japanese who are allowed to live in Japan and have babies in Japan.
But this is America.
I have no idea what that has to do with anything I said. But,
this has nothing to do with it. But this is America.
You said that it was America in the West. It is
America in the West has a very interesting obsession with race,
because America has demonstrated throughout its history that a whole bunch of races can come in and do more or less whatever they want.
What?
Joe Lewis, about your point about like actual things where people would not trip over themselves to hire a black person walking into the employment thing. If you look at Boeing and some of the other companies, they explicitly wanted black engineers or gay engineers or not engineers, but pilots to go and apply and hire. So much so that Charlie Kirk made the comment where he wouldn't trust a pilot that happened to be that, because they lowered this, like they were so willing to hire them that they're
Hold
willing
on, say the first. Nope. I'm not letting you run from that, Evan. Say the first thing you were about to admit, that they were going to do what? Stutter boy? Stutter? You stuttered about something about ability, right? Don't stretch like you don't know what I'm fucking talking about.
They would be willing to go and hire someone because they're not as
qualified,
not as they don't have enough experience.
Oh,
and
there's that tap dancing. Love that shit.
So how do you know? Can you start over again?
Experience? All right,
Evan, can you start over for me?
Yeah.
Boeing and Boeing specifically had made a claim that they wanted to go and increase their percentage of diversity in their piloting program, so they had a significant pressure to go and put those in just to go and match what the company was going for and to get the bonuses associated with it. So much so that Charlie Kirk made the comment that he wouldn't trust a black pilot because he wouldn't think that they were qualified, because the incentive was there to go and cut corners just so that they would be working on paper as a pilot.
So ask you a question.
Question.
Oh, I had a fun question though.
Do Boeing pilots fly commercial airlines? Do they pilot commercial airlines?
Fuck does that have to do with anything?
Well, most commercial airliners are Boeing.
Yeah, I was
most
going to say
commercial airliners are Boeing planes. So
I meant that
it doesn't matter.
they would all technically be.
Do airliners not hire their own pilots, or does Boeing?
But if Boeing makes a plane, it doesn't.
That was the question I was going to ask.
American or Southwest, or you're flying a Boeing plane. Like
Alice, just saying, Alice, hold on. You're saying this so bad. Okay, so there's two things that are happening, right? Boeing does hire their own pilots for commercial planes. That is true, but airlines hire their own individual pilots. So the idea that Charlie Kirk would be nervous from an airline's hiring of a pilot is a ridiculous premise, unless he's directly flying in a Boeing plane in a capacity that he's in a commercial airliner with a Boeing hired pilot.
That's the fun thing, Joe. Boeing does not directly hire its own pilots.
Well, actually, I just pulled it up. Hold on. I looked it up. Boeing has its own pilots, but not for routine airline flying. They employ experienced test pilots and global engagement pilots for aircraft development certification. So I'm wondering, like, this is gonna sound really bad. I'm wondering if they want to use the worst because it doesn't matter if bad things.
You're making a plane crash joke. You toxic.
most commercial plane.
Yes.
Toxic.
What?
Like we don't want the most experience because we can waste them, right? Like
disposable.
So
I was trying not to.
It's not a good policy. I'm against that policy, by the way.
Straight to hell, no parachute. Good God.
So, okay, I understand what you're saying, Sarah. What you're saying is because there is no, they're not going to be hired to actually fly other people around, so they're not like a risk
but
to the
Boeing
public.
is the manufacturer that makes the commercial planes. every plane you get in commercially to fly.
But that has nothing to do with black pilots.
That's the point. That's the whole point.
No, it's not. Who hires the pilots? Who hires the pilot?
It's a simple question, Steve.
It's a simple question.
For an
Who hires the pilot to fly the plane?
Who hires a pilot?
If he's saying I'm not getting in a Boeing, he means I'm not getting in a.
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said.
Boeing.
He didn't say Boeing. Plane.
He said black pilot.
He was referring
Are
to
you
the company
changing what
itself.
he said now? No, he
He was
wasn't.
not-
He was
he was not
referring.
referring to
He
the
said
company
black pilot. I mean, I don't know why you're trying to
He just said if he sees a black pilot, he's worried about it. That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, he's entitled to that opinion.
He was a racist. And he was a racist. So
I looked it up, and I was
Why is
referencing the
that even a
United
thing?
Airline.
Who gives a fuck,
thing.
dude?
Boeing
Are
had
you
the
getting
engineering.
off a plane, if you see a black pilot, are you getting off a plane?
I get off the plane if it's like
No.
actually no.
If
You
it's
guys
Boeing,
Air Jamaica,
I'm just not
going.
flying
That's
Spirit.
right.
Are you getting off a plane if you see a white pilot? So why the fuck does Charlie Kirk's opinion, like, why is that even relevant?
Oh no, it's just funny that he's racist. It's fine.
Yeah, like listen.
I mean, it's just funny you tried to use this as a talking point. Like you tried to use like, oh well, Boeing hired a bunch of gay and trans and black
It was
and
United
whatever
Airlines,
employees, and that's why Charlie Kirk said.
Yeah,
like,
and
you're trying to
then
use it as, like,
God
a weird
smoked
talking
him, and
point.
there's been a bunch of plane accidents. I think we can all agree on that.
What caused the plane accidents? The causation and correlation are two different things.
The hiring of gay and black people, duh.
getting
so lost. I was just going to blame women engineers. Maybe Steve
All right.
Well, by all means, Josh.
All right.
Let's relax.
Calvin says, would diversity of thought and views be important in our Supreme Court judges? Mixture of conservative, moderates, and lib. If so, should be forced balance.
No, I want 9 Clarence Thomases. Make the bench black.
Ugh. I can't wait till that. I cannot say.
I get it.
I want to say it so bad.
I cannot wait.
Hey,
until
what?
he dies. I'm just saying.
I'm saying Joe wants to say.
Do not. I will hold long parades and parties to celebrate his death for all of the wrong reasons. Conservatives are invited. They can have
Right.
my
You will
cake,
celebrate the
have
death
my
of a
food.
human. I would not.
I would
you
absolutely
act like you guys
celebrate
with the
the death
DEI have.
of-
Oh no, my one was Kissinger, but
I
that's
do
beyond
have
the
a
point.
party every year to celebrate the death of
All right.
Kissinger.
So hey, everybody, I am going to get
Last,
going in a few minutes
November
here. If
29th.
anybody's got something
Hold on.
feel free.
Go ahead.
So I wanted
Josh.
to address. I wanted to address the whole thing that you sent. So for the most part, the largest disproportionate hiring was in the less senior job roles. There was a bit more going up through the management, but that mostly went to Asians. So when it comes down to that, like I don't see where the biggest issue was, just allowing for the diversity of hiring to be opened up so that more black people could get, or other people in general could get their foot in the door to be
It's the
able to
whites, though.
possibly be able to
It's a
get better
white
jobs in the
population.
future.
It's a white population. If you remember, man, it's a white erasure. It's real. And those low job market, whatever the fuck that study said. That's just kind of what it came off as at first, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. It seems like you're more concerned that like the white population of applicants in this,
Oh, you're
in the
fucking
context of
insane.
that.
And we can try to act like you're not. Like I'm fine with that. But you're throwing race into this where I didn't.
I mean,
You did throw race
Yeah.
into it.
The
You
whole
literally
thing's about-
made it about race.
the article's
Like,
about
you're
race.
lying.
you did.
My whole fucking premise that you
Hey,
retard
everybody.
ignored,
Yeah,
starting
you did.
before you got here, laid out a more comprehensive and nuanced perspective. But you came in
But we're
here and
talking
you're
about the
talking
oh
race.
man, you
No,
can't
no,
even
no,
keep
no,
up
no, no.
with your own
You
shit.
come in
It's
here
crazy.
and you say, "Oh, well, you
I have
guys
a
are
question.
obsessed with race and blah blah blah." I'm not coming in here looking for the white man to have some great power. All I pointed to are- what's that?
Did you just say
Who-
white power?
I have a question. I have a question for Josh.
Is it Brick? Yes.
who-
All right, Brick. Let's hear it.
You don't get it. You're new here. Question for you. When you said historically oppressed, who are you speaking of?
When did I say historically oppressed? I'm not
Multiple
saying I
times.
You said it
multiple times in the
you
in the
said it
pre-panel,
earlier.
multiple times
Yeah.
in this panel. You said it a lot.
You did. You said so. Who were you speaking of? I just want to make sure before. I would like to know who you're speaking of before I can form an opinion of what you're saying.
Well, then why would you ask a question if you can't form an opinion before you?
I
hear
need to
it?
know who you're talking about.
So really simple, Josh.
So
I guess if you were even if you were to say historically oppressed, who would you mean?
Yeah, who are you talking? Yeah, who falls into that category in your opinion?
So I'm using the frameworks from Harvard.
Can you just add?
I'm sorry that you're getting a more complete answer than you used to, and it must be
Well,
very.
you didn't answer it at all. It's really a simple question. I didn't ask anything about Harvard or any of that stuff. I asked you in your opinion.
Oh, go ahead.
You keep cutting him off, and he can't fucking
No. I did not. I asked him a direct question. Just hold fast.
All right,
I
then
asked him a direct
He's
question.
not good at break.
Well, he started going. He went into whole like Harvard, and I'm like, no. I said,
let him
well, how about
do his thing.
Steve?
All right, hold on. Yeah,
Oh.
Steve, chill because Joshua is making an exit, so I want to let him at least have the response back with.
He's running.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Ryan,
running.
not everything's about you. You're cute. I'm glad you're here.
That's false.
Rick, to go back. Okay, he's not cute, he says, but we all know he's
That
not.
part's true.
So, Rick, the point is, I started with Stanford, Harvard, and then the Society for HR Managers or something, the framework they used, and that was their language. I actually never, you can go back and watch the recording. I doubt you will, but I never specifically mentioned any group on that one. So you're asking sort of a question when I never fucking enumerated one.
You did so, but that's why I'm asking you the question.
And you cut me off.
That's why I'm asking you the question because you literally are going
got.
around. It was a direct question. I asked you, who were you speaking of when you said historically? It's not stupid. You're stupid.
It is stupid
because you can't even answer it. So you probably so that's you really are the exact. You literally, and you know what? Here in life, and this is the issue. You're mediocre, and you're trying to blame everyone else in the world for your mediocrity because you can't even answer a basic question. I mean, you came out the gate. I didn't call you, Steve. Please, I didn't call you any name or anything. I literally just asked one question.
You interrupted.
That was it, and you called. No, you didn't answer. You started. Well, in Harvard, they said. I'm like, no, that's not what my question.
I know that it was a longer answer than you wanted.
No,
but
you didn't answer it. You still haven't answered it.
But Josh, hold up here.
All right, you got it. Yeah, this.
Well, hold on one second before you guys get crazy.
I want him to answer the question.
Before you go there, I have opened up the gauntlet. The gauntlet is now operating. If you're watching over on the tomato side and you already know where you're going, please start heading over there now. If you don't know where you're going, I dropped a link in the chat. Click that and it will take you where you need to go. Otherwise, you're going to stick around and catch the raid over. I will dismantle the Raging Tomato side in 2 minutes. Okay, Joshua, I think they want you to answer.
So, what is the specific question that I need to repeat the answer to?
In the conversation in the panel earlier, and in this now, you were speaking towards what those three groups were talking about in terms of historical. What was the word again, Brick?
Historically oppressed people.
So those three groups are talking about historically oppressed people. Is it a fair assessment, Josh?
So I'm trying to. I don't
Is
know
it
where
fair to say that those three groups were talking about historically oppressed groups?
Fuck, I was talking about three groups of DEI definitions. Next question.
Yes, and they were speaking about historically oppressed groups, correct?
Yes.
So when you hear the word historically oppressed groups, where do you think those three organizations are pointing to? What type of people are they pointing to when they say that, based on what you understand about their definitions and how you were doing the studying for this panel?
So it's a stupid question.
Saying it's a stupid question isn't an answer, by the way.
Here's why this is
What IQ?
I thought you already answered it.
All right.
No, here's why it's a stupid question. We both know.
But you said it.
Shut the fuck up.
No, I will not. I will not. I won't.
Triggered.
Yeah, you're really upset.
Why don't you just answer the question? You don't have to get so mad.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going. I didn't come up here and call you one name or anything, and you started out the gate with the disrespect. I didn't speak to you like that at all. I asked one question.
You interrupted him as he was answering the first time.
Shut up, Steve, because I wasn't talking to you.
Let's do it this way.
And I'm Steve. I didn't say shit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Whoever was yelling, my bad. I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry. Was that you, Evan? Evan, be quiet.
All right, lady, let's hear it.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead. Well, I already asked you when you said, because you kept saying historically oppressed people.
No, you're full of shit. I didn't keep saying
yes,
that.
you. All right. Well, okay. Well, even if you said it
You're
once,
lying.
you said
you are. That's the dishonesty here.
No, yeah, you're just mediocre. You can just go ahead. He's not going to answer it. It's fine. Don't worry about it, Josh.
While he's thinking about answering that, I'm shutting down the tomato side now. So head over to the gauntlet. I'm dropping the link in the chat, or catch the raid, or go away.
Oh, he's not going to answer it, Sarah. So you can just go ahead and. He's not going to.